for myself. We had USD baseball, UCSD baseball, super late last night. Of course, they had to go to extra innings, so that's super cool. Wow, how about that? Breaking news to start the show. I thought Juan was just pulling my chain, man. According to the San Diego Padres, yes, those Padres, the official account of the San Diego Padres, they had it first. Welcome to San Diego, Lucas Giolito. Padres have signed right-handed pitcher Lucas Giolito to a one-year contract with a mutual option for 2027. Sources, Padres. Padres put it out. I don't even have to say reported. I don't have to say any. It's just the Padres. Wow. To make room on the 40-man roster, they've transferred Brian Hoeing to the 60-day injured list. Bang. Perfect timing, Ben and Woods. Thanks for signing off. We appreciate the breaking news.
It's actually quite a nice change of pace to see the team break their own news, you know?
That's great. Everybody in the comments is like, oh, perfect timing, Ben and Woods. We love this. I'm going to comment on the Padres thing right now. We love this at 10 a.m.
Please keep breaking news at 10 a.m.
That's phenomenal.
Signed
Wow.
random person who really appreciates 10 a.m. breaking news.
That's big news, Padres fans. Welcome to San Diego, Lucas Giolito. I literally thought it was like, all right, I got to go find some passing bomb now. I got to go find some whatever. All right, well, that changes everything. Lucas Giolito is now a San Diego Padre. We can officially say it. That's great. That's awesome. That's awesome. All right. Well, that changes everything from our deal. Now last night, I have to say, you saw those tweets last night, right? That we were sent. Did you see those from what's his name? Chris Cotillo.
No.
Chris Cotillo said last night. Chris Cotillo, we've seen him before. He's a Red Sox beat writer.
Okay.
He's actually had some news on Lucas Giolito in spring training.
I think we've had him on the show, actually.
Chris Cotillo? Or Cotillo?
Possibly.
I think he's Italian. It's Illo and not Io. Red Sox beat writer for MassLive.com, co-host of the Fenway Rundown podcast, adjunct instructor at Boston College. 81,000 followers. Last night, Chris Cotillo said, FWIW, for anybody over the age of 50, that means for what it's worth, have heard from some people in the industry who think Lucas Giolito and the Padres is an inevitable marriage that could take shape soon. That was number one. And then he tweeted out this morning, Padres talks with Lucas Giolito remain active, sources confirm, with one rival scout calling the possibility legit this morning. And who broke the news? Pods. Padres got to put out like a fun tweet about that. Like, oh, look at us with the scoops.
I'm not even kidding. It is really nice and really refreshing to see a team break its own news.
It is.
That's great.
It's great.
And again, I'm not being ironic. I'm not being funny. That is fantastic.
It's awesome.
I don't need to see Jeff Pass, and I don't need to see beat writers. Sorry, Kevin, AJ, Dennis Lynn.
We don't mind it, but
yeah, but it's really nice to see a team break its own news for a change.
It hadn't been like that in a long time. All right, so we're gonna have to dive into some Lucas Giolito stuff here in the next segment. We were gonna talk about Randy Vásquez. I do want to talk about last night's game, obviously here in the Open. But if you're just tuning in, Lucas Giolito is now a San Diego Padre. So according to the details, he has signed a one-year deal with a mutual option for 2027, and in the deal, to make room on the 40-man roster, they have transferred Brian Hoeing to the 60-day injured list. So my thoughts on this are, we had the clip from Lucas Giolito from a couple of weeks ago. Was that last week or 2 weeks ago? We played it last week, but I don't remember when it was from. And he talked about he'll do whatever it takes. He'll go and do a rehab assignment, whatever. I would imagine. I know he said he's been throwing like 70 pitch outings right now against some hitters, but there's nothing like game reps. He's going to have to go to either El Paso or whatever it may be to, get some work done. Now, here's the situation. Does this change anything for Nick Pivetta? I don't know if it does, But now you got Lucas Giolito on the horizon. It improves the starting rotation. I love the move. I think this was when I saw the news last night that it could potentially happen, I thought for sure, this would be a positive move for the Padres. And now this rotation looks a little bit better, potentially. Again, you're taking a chance on him, right? I mean, Dallas Keuchel wasn't awesome when he signed this late in the season. So you are still taking a risk. It's a risk move, but it gives Lucas Giolito an opportunity to ball out and earn a contract next year for somebody else. Mutual options almost never work. I mean, they usually they're never perfectly aligned where both sides really want the mutual option. And I think the Padres emailed. They sent a press release out. I'll try to get the details if they have on specific numbers on the contract or what it may be. But as of right now, all you need to know is Lucas Giolito is now part of this rotation. So I would imagine he's going to make some starts down in AAA or wherever to get built up to speed. He's not coming off of an injury, so it's not like he has to have too much time. He just needs to get in the swing of things. So for the Padres, I like this. So I think it gives you a good opportunity to see what he's got. I think it's a good opportunity to add to your rotation. I mean, this is everything that you're looking for in an area of need for the Padres, and an area where like the Padres have had some good outings out of the top half of the rotation. And, we're going to talk about Randy Vásquez and Michael King and how well that they have pitched. And, Armand Marquez and Walker Buehler have been solid, but I still feel like a lot of people think it's a little shaky back there. You got a little bit of an insurance policy. You create the competition back up again here.
Yeah, for what Kevin Acey's reporting, he made a post, bless you, 2 minutes ago. The Padres have signed starting pitcher Lucas Giolito. This is, of course, after the Padres made the announcement.
Padres with it first. Please tell me you put that.
No, he did not. He will be assigned to Single A Lake Elsinore as he builds up. He must be added to the roster 25 days from today. So he's got 25 days from today before he has to be up on the roster, or he's a free agent again.
Okay, that makes sense. Does he become? Is that what he says? He becomes a free agent again, or that's just
that's the insinuation. He must be added to the 25-day He must be added to the roster 25 days from today. So I would have to assume that's got. Again, that's me assuming.
I think that counts as a. I think he's counting as a rehab assignment.
Yeah.
Is that that's how long the starting pitcher's rehab assignment is?
30,
right?
30.
It's 30. It's probably a situation since he's not injured, but he's starting late. It's probably a rule where it's like 25 days.
Yeah, that would be my assumption. Or
he's going to be added. It's not like he's going to go down there for a rehab because they got to get it built up to speed. He didn't do spring training.
No, of course, like exactly.
So I don't think it's going to be like, oh, you know what, he sucked. Let's just get rid of him. He has to be added to the roster, and so in 25 days, that just put a. You know what that did? That increased the competition again for Buehler and Marquez. They got another timer on the clock because there's more people coming and there's reinforcements coming. So I like the move for the Padres. We haven't seen any details yet on money, but again, for everybody that's just tuning in, Lucas Giolito has signed a contract with the San Diego Padres. It is a 1-year deal, and there's a mutual option for 2027. Now, whether or not that happens remains to be seen. Obviously, most of the mutual options never work, but kind of a prove-it deal for Lucas Giolito. I like it. If it works out, great. If not, we'll see how much money they're going to give him this year. Obviously, it's going to be a little prorated, to an extent, right? I mean, he's already missed almost an entire month, and he's going to have a couple of rehab assignments where he's not going to be back and ready until probably the end of May. So we'll see how the negotiation went, but Lucas Giolito, now a Padre.
This is what Sam Levitt just posted on Twitter. 26 starts last year, 3.41 ERA, 145 innings, 121 strikeouts, 56 walks, 1.29 WHIP, and he allowed 17 home runs. That's Lucas Giolito's line for last year.
How old is Lucas Giolito now?
I believe he's 30.
He's got to be in his 30s, I would imagine. I still think it's good news.
Why do you always have to ask the difficult questions?
No, hang on. I had his page pulled up already. He's 31. He's my age. He was born in 94. So he'll be turning 32 on July 14th. Yeah, it's fine. Add it to the list. I like the move. I think it's great for the Padres.
Yeah, I agree.
Let's talk about last night real quick, because I still want to talk about last night. When we come back, we're going to talk more about Lucas Giolito, how he fits the rotation, how everything plays out. I mean, we just got the natural reaction right there as it happened literally as we jumped on the air today at 10 in the morning. But let's start here for the show, because I don't want this to get lost with the new news about Lucas Giolito. The Padres are doing exactly what good teams are supposed to do, and they're honestly like what playoff teams have to do this time of year, stacking up wins. And not just winning, but stacking them. And yeah, I know. Some people are going to say right out of the gate, well, look at the schedule, look what they're playing. Good, you're supposed to beat those teams. It's not who you play, it's when you play them. That's the whole point. This is the part of the schedule where you build your foundation. This is where you bank wins. So when things get tough, and they're going to get tough, I mean, you're not trying to dig yourself out of a hole. When these things get tough, and it's going to get tough very quickly, and I'll talk about that in a second, you're not trying to dig yourself out of a hole in August. And right now, the Padres are doing it perfectly. They're tied for the best record in baseball with the Dodgers at 16-7. Read that again. Best record in baseball. Anybody think that was going to be the case on opening week, Frank?
No, as a matter of fact.
I saw so many tweets, bookmark this, not a playoff team. They went from being the worst team in the National League, going into Game 2 in Boston, having the best record in Major League Baseball with the Dodgers at 16-7. Best record in baseball. And no, we're not, hanging banners in April, but don't act like that doesn't matter. It does, because what you're doing right now is you're applying pressure on the Dodgers, pressure on the division, pressure on yourself to maintain this new standard. And last night, that was one of the most interesting wins of the season, because if I told you before the game, which I did not, because in fact, I actually told you guys the exact opposite of this. Hey, Coors Field, Padres, Rockies, this will be a one-run game. It will be a 1-0 game. You would have laughed me out of the room. Frank would have given me a foul if I would have said that on the air yesterday.
Well, a one-run game is not that unrealistic. It's probably going to be, I would have thought, 15-14,
12,
something like
11.
that. Yeah, exactly.
It was going to be a 1-0 game. Foul. That was the Coors Field special last night, huh? Just not the one you expected. You actually had pitching, you had execution, and you had just enough offense, if you even want to call what both teams did last night offense. And you had a guy, let's talk about him, who is quietly becoming one of the biggest early storylines on this team, which makes this Lucas Giolito signing even better for the Padres, Randy Vásquez. I thought Randy Vásquez was going to regress back to the mean last night with fly balls, leaving the yard, ERA, going back to kind of where he's at in the threes, everything like that. 7 scoreless innings last night at Coors Field.
And he could have gone more, honestly, because he only had, 84 pitches? I mean, he could have thrown another inning easily.
Let me repeat that. I don't think this is getting enough respect. He had 7 scoreless innings at Coors Field in Colorado, a mile above sea level. That's not supposed to happen. That's not normal.
So much for Hell Week for the rotation, huh?
Yeah. Is he Ubaldo Jimenez out there?
Jeez.
Chase Dollander. Jeez, he also was great, except for the one at-bat he had against Manny. It's not just last night. Look at the numbers through 5 starts for Randy Vásquez. 1.88 ERA, 28 innings plus, 30 strikeouts, and a whip just over 1.08. At this point through 5 innings, Frank, this is not like him getting lucky. This is not a fluky part of the schedule.
No, he good.
That's a guy who at least right now is pitching like a top-end starter.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm not sitting here telling you he's going to be an all-star. Let's slow down a little bit. It is April, but if we're evaluating the first half trajectory, he's putting himself kind of in that conversation. He's on that pace, and more importantly, he's doing it in a way that translates. He's pounding the zone. He's not walking guys. He's keeping the ball in the yard. He's missing bats. That plays everywhere, regardless of the altitude, regardless of the park, even in places it's not supposed to play, like Coors Field. And here's what I loved about last night. The Padres didn't need to be perfect on offense. because they weren't. They struck out 15 times last night. 15. It's 6 hits. They still won the game. Why? Good teams don't sit around waiting for the perfect game. They find a way. Look at the 6th inning. This is baseball at its most gritty. This team was not gritty in their first 7 games. This team is gritty now. They find a way. Cronenworth double, Tatis single, Merrill hit by a pitch, Machado works a selfless at-bat and works a walk. That's it. That's the game. No home runs, no fireworks, no highlight reel explosion, just pressure, execution, and forcing the other team to crack first, and you win. That's winning baseball. And this is where I think the Padres and their fans need to shift their mindset a little bit, because this team, they're not just talented. They're deep. They're resilient, versatile. They are finding different ways to win games, and that is the biggest sign of a real contender. Because when you get to October, guess what? You're not going to be winning 8-2 every night. You're winning games like that. Last night, 1-0, 2-1. You're grinding, you're clawing, you're executing, and the Padres are already showing they can do that. Now let's zoom out a bit, because this is where things get really interesting. They're doing all of this, and the stars haven't even taken off yet. Machado still hitting $186. Fernando still doesn't have a home run. Jackson Merrill, he's hitting .231. And you have the best record in baseball at 16-7. Think about that. Let that sink in a second, because usually when your stars aren't producing, especially this team, you're taking L's, my man. Not this team. This team is winning anyway, and that should be terrifying for the rest of baseball. It's so terrifying for the rest of baseball. You had your boy Dave Roberts going like, nobody cares what's going on in San Diego. Why is it even being brought up? Who asked him that question? Who's bringing that up right now at a press conference? Dave Roberts is quoted in a Bill Shaken article. I don't think anybody really cares what's going on in San Diego right now. Interesting. It's like going to the bathroom at a stadium. Empty urinals everywhere. Hey, man, I don't even care about the Padres. Really? Yeah, big thumbs up. Yeah, thanks. This team is winning anyway. It's terrifying for baseball, because what happens when those guys do get going, because they're going to, what happens when Machado heats up like he always does? What happens when Tatis starts lifting the ball and those lasers to right center field start leaving the yard? What happens when Merrill settles in? Nah, you're not just good. You're going to be dangerous.
And just another example of the national outlook on this team. I'm going to read this Jeff Passan tweet, word for word. Quote, San Diego's beleaguered rotation gets a boost with the signing of Lucas Giolito to a 1-year deal. The deal includes a mutual option, but mutual options literally never get picked up. So Giolito would join the Padres and hit free agency again after the season. Beleaguered starting rotation. Thanks.
Which is interesting, because that goes into my next topic. Don't overlook this either. Pitching staff is setting the tone, Frank. Vasquez is dealing. Bullpen stepping up. They didn't even have to use Mason Miller last night. He had the night off.
But it's beleaguered, Braden.
Jason Adam, Adrian Morejon closing the door. Young arms stepping into big spots. That's how you survive a long season, because you're going to need all of it. But this is where I'm going to push back a little bit, because this can't be just a feel-good conversation. The schedule is about to change. Right now, yeah, you're in a little bit of a lighter stretch. You're playing teams you should beat. Again, you're doing exactly what you're supposed to do. But you got the Diamondbacks who are playing good ball coming up. The Cubs, who are starting to play a lot better, thanks to the Mets, are coming up. The Brewers are coming up. The Dodgers are coming up. Phillies, the Padres haven't had a lot of success against the Phillies, but for everybody that's giving the Mets crap, I don't know why nobody's giving the Phillies crap. At least the Mets can make the excuse that they're missing their best player. The Phillies are fully healthy and they stink. So not a light stretch. That's where the season starts to test you. It's where depth gets tested. That's where your stars need to show up. That's where your rotation, especially the back end, has to hold. And that will be hopefully when Lucas Giolito starts to come back into this rotation. So what are you doing right now? It matters, because this is your cushion. This is your margin. This is what allows you to go 500 during a tough stretch and still be in a great spot. And that's how playoff teams operate. They don't wait until September to figure out They build it now. So, yeah, great start. It's exciting. Time for the best record, but now comes the real challenge. Can you keep stacking wins? Can you keep finding ways? Can you keep winning when it's not easy? Because if the answer is yes, then you're not talking about a good April. We're talking about a team that's built to be there in October. And right now, they look like it. And right now, they just got a new addition. And when we come back, because we're late, we're going to talk about Lucas Giolito and what he does for this team, what he brings to this team, as he has now signed a one-year deal with a mutual option for next year. We discuss next on the Braden Surprenant Show, Static Summer Sports Station, 97.3 The Fan. UCSD Triton baseball just went through a full identity week. Highs, lows, and everything in between. They got blown out by San Diego State. They dropped a series to Cal Poly. And the story right now, explosive highs and frustrating lows. When they're on, they look like a Big West contender. When they're off, they disappear offensively. And that's the question. What is UCSD really? Because the talent is there, the power is there, the pitching flashes are there, but consistency isn't. And until that changes, this team is going to stay one of the most unpredictable teams in the conference. What happened this week? It was a true mixed bag stretch for the Tritons with highs, lows, and everything in between, including opponents, rivalry games, and conference battles starting to tighten up. It started midweek with a tough one. A crosstown rival, San Diego State baseball, the Tritons got overwhelmed, 9-1, managing just 2 hits in a game where the offense never got going.
Yeah, no, and then came Big West play where things got more volatile against Cal Poly. They lost the first 2 games 11-3 and then 5-3, and then just a wild shootout on Sunday afternoon in a 16-15 2-run single walk-off win by Gabe Camacho to close out that series and avoid the sweep. The pitching showed flashes, but defensive errors and missed opportunities cost them a chance to take control of the series.
Yeah, they lose 11-3 in game 1, 5-3 in game 2. They did win 16-15 in game 3, but you know, it was tough for the pitching as they showed flashes, but overall, you know, the errors left on base. I mean, that's a lot of what UCSD has been throughout the year.
It just looking at the line score of that game on Sunday, Cal Poly 15 runs, 24 hits, no errors. They scored in every single inning except the 3rd and the 6th. For UC San Diego, 16 runs, 16 hits, 1 error. They scored in every inning except the 3rd, 5th, and 7th. Both teams combining for 5 runs each in the final 2 frames. Unfortunately for UC San Diego, that walk-off hit, as I mentioned before, by Gabe Camacho was the one that avoided the sweep for them because they were about to lose that game 15-14.
Well, you know what? That sounded a lot like the USD game on Sunday.
Yeah.
I mean, that sounds like a Sunday in college baseball. Now,
how long was your game?
4 hours.
4 hours here as well.
How about that? Almost like the exact same game that they played, one at Fowler Park and one at Triton Ballpark. So they're both here in San Diego. And guess what? The 2 teams will play each other on Tuesday. But here's the problem for UCSD right now. They're tied for first at 12-6 in the Big West. Great news. The bad news is they're tied with 2 teams that have already taken 2 out of 3 from UCSD. So they're losing in terms of the tie-breaking scenarios. In terms of the rest of the conference year, they're going to take on Irvine next. Irvine's starting to play a little bit better baseball. They're now up to 8-10 in the Big West. They started off so lousy in the season, but they're playing a lot better recently. They'll take on Long Beach State, currently in last in the Big West. And then they got Cal State Bakersfield, and they got Cal State Fullerton. Bakersfield, 9th place right now in the Big West out of 11 teams. Fullerton is 1 game behind UCSD in the standings. They're trying to, 1, make the Big West tournament, and 2, be able to do some damage in the Big West tournament. And as of right now, you know, the fact that they have competed with Santa Barbara and Cal Poly is great, but if they want to make an NCAA tournament berth, because they're not going to get it as an at-large, probably not. Might be tough for them to do that, despite their RPI being ranked pretty decent. They're going to have to win the Big West tournament, which means they're going to have to get through Santa Barbara and Cal Poly, and probably both of them.
You want to talk about top of the lineup performance? It's for Cal Poly in that game. Their top 3 in the order went 11 for 15. 5 RBIs, 6 runs scored, 1 walk, no strikeouts. Albert, can we get some of that on the major league level here?
No, welcome to
11 for 15.
Welcome to college baseball. That is like welcome to college baseball. So, yeah, we'll see what happens in the college baseball realm of things. But as for softball, they kind of had a tough weekend, did they not?
Yeah, they did not fare all that well this weekend. They played, looking back at it, they played Hawaii this weekend. They lost 3-2 on Friday night, a 10-5 loss in game one of the doubleheader on Saturday, and then a 1-0 loss in game two of that doubleheader on Saturday. So just a rough week all around for San Diego, UC San Diego softball.
$10:27 on a Wednesday. Big news on a Wednesday. Padres signed Lucas Giolito today. How about that? That good news came down right at 10 a.m. We love it. Padres are in first place in the National League West. Padres are in first place in the National League. Padres are in first place in MLB. How about that? How about that?
But this team is toast, dude. What do you mean?
They're cooked, bro. They're beleaguered. They're beleaguered. San Diego's beleaguered rotation gets a boost with signing of Lucas Giolito to a 1-year contract. I want to, shout out to whoever this guy is, Jeff Powers on social media for immediately posting underneath Jeff Passan's tweet a screenshot of how many pitching wins the team has with 16. And also what the earned run average is for the team, which is, I don't know, second best in baseball with a 3.22 ERA. Beleaguered. He called us beleaguered. Look, man, I know it's not a bunch of sexy names. I know, I know it doesn't have Shohei Ohtani in it, and I know it doesn't have Paul Skeens in it, whatever. But it should be noted how impressive the rotation has been, considering the fact that everybody in the rotation's washed, apparently.
Yeah, bro. There's only one team out west of the Mississippi, and it's the Dodgers. Nobody else exists. So is it really surprising?
No, I'm not overly surprised.
There's only one team out west that exists. So you can't expect Jeff Passan to know about a team that doesn't exist.
Give me a break, Jeff. Come on, dude. I get it. I mean, he usually does a pretty good job trolling fans and stuff. He's funny, but I understand, on paper, it's not great. But let's take a look. I mean, this rotation, Randy Vásquez has a 1.2 B WAR already. He's 2-0 with a 1.88 ERA in 5 starts, 28 2/3 innings pitched, 30 punch-outs, 8 walks. I can't believe how limited amount of walks Randy Vásquez has this year. I really can't believe it.
And he had none yesterday. 5 Ks.
5 strikeouts. He put up 0 runs.
3 hits.
At Coors Field, dude. Are you kidding me? Michael King, your second best pitcher on the team right now, is 3-1 with a 0.9 B WAR. 27 2/3 innings pitched. He's in trouble with he leads the league in walks. He's not even pitching his best, and he's got a 2.28 ERA. Randy Vásquez's velo up also. Money. Good idea. Good show there. 26 strikeouts to 14 walks. That's not great for Michael King on the strikeout to walk, but I tell you what, I think they're going to figure out the walks, if you will. Germán Marquez, 18 2/3 innings pitched this year. 4 starts made. We'll see what he does tomorrow, but he's been your third best pitcher with a 0.2 B WAR, 2-1 record at 3.86 ERA. Walker Buehler tonight is 1-1 of the 4.58 ERA. Now, hopefully he doesn't get tagged and we get the Coors Field special we were expecting. But I like adding Lucas Giolito to this list. You're going to add Griffin Canning to this list. And who knows, maybe later on in the year, you'll get Joe Musgrove and Nick Pivetta to this list. I mean, the big decision that needs to be made now will have to be in 25 days. Because Griffin Canning is making his 4th rehab assignment start tonight in El Paso. And after that, it sounds like he's probably coming up pretty soon, right? How many more days has he got left? Do we know? I don't know why you would know that information.
I believe he has to come up on the 4th. Is what we've talked about.
Right. So I think Matt Waldron's got to make 2 more starts.
Yeah, he's tomorrow. He's closing out the Rocky series tomorrow, and then he's closing out the Cubs series next Wednesday.
So that knocks off Waldron potentially. And then the big question is going to be in an additional 25 days when Lucas Giolito is built up by pitching in a couple of rehab assignments, wherever it may be. He said they're going to start him in Lake Elsinore probably because it's close to the team. Makes it easy. So he's going to get some reps. And then when they bring him up in 25 days, that's when you make the decision between Germán Marquez and Walker Buehler. You also have to, as Ray in the chat, in the YouTube chat, has to say, Yuki needs to make you need to make a decision on Yuki by May 3rd. I think that impacts the bullpen a little bit more than anything else. You're making a decision between guys like Kyle Hart. Are you keeping Bradley Rodriguez on the team? I think Bradley Rodriguez has earned a spot on this team regardless. I don't care how many options he has left. I don't know why. I don't think you can afford to send Bradley Rodriguez down to the minor leagues at this point. Guy's got the 2nd best WAR on the bullpen. He's got a 0.73 ERA in 10 games. 12 and a third innings pitched. He leads the team in bullpen arms and innings, and he's got the lowest ERA. So, I think what a lot of people assumed was going to be him maybe coming off because of a numbers game. You can't play a numbers game now with Bradley Rodriguez. So there's a lot of interesting things that need to be, a lot of interesting roster moves that need to be made. But I love the pickup of Lucas Giolito. I want to hear from the fans out there. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. What do you guys think about Lucas Giolito potentially joining this team? He's officially signed with the Padres. He's going to be in the minor leagues to build up a little bit. He needs to be down. He needs to be called up within 25 days. So that gives you kind of the window of how. And who knows? I mean, maybe it takes him 2 starts. The Padres are like, all right, cool, come on up. Maybe he beats Griffin Canning up. I doubt it. But in about 25 days, you're gonna have Lucas Giolito and Griffin Canning part of this rotation. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. Lucas Giolito is a Padre. We continue the conversation when we come back on the Braden Surprenant Show. Standings Number Sports Station 97 through the Fan. The NFL draft is almost here, and this year feels very different. There's no clear superstar at the top, but there's depth everywhere, which means the real winners won't be the teams picking early. It'll be the ones finding steals in rounds 2 and 3. Watch for names like Caden McDonald. He could be the first defensive tackle off the board. And Caleb Downs, who could go top 5 or fall out of the top 10 completely. And don't be surprised if we see a ton of trades, maybe 5, 6, even 8 in the first round alone. This isn't a flashy draft. It's a smart team's draft. So the question is, does your team trust its scouting, or are they about to reach? All right, we're officially inside of 1 week until the 2026 NFL draft. And if you're expecting a flashy headline-driven class at the top, this might not be that year. But don't get it twisted. This draft is going to matter a lot, because what we're hearing from around the league right now is simple. This is a depth draft, not a star-powered draft, and that completely changes how teams approach Thursday night. And Frank, I've talked about this before. Adam Klug's talked about this. Everybody that watches the NFL knows this is not a big draft. It's not like a big storyline draft. It doesn't have too much juice to it. Yes, it will be an NFL draft. Yes, NFL fans are going to be excited to see what their teams get. Yes, college fans are going to like to see where their players end up getting drafted. But overall, not a lot of hype around this year's draft.
No, there's really not. There's no unanimous number one type buzz. No generational quarterback dominating the conversation. Instead, you have front offices looking at a board where the talent from pick 10 to 50 really isn't all that different. And when that happens, two things follow. Usually trades really go up and mistakes also really go up. We're already hearing that there could be anywhere from 5 to 8 trades in the first round alone. And with teams like the Cardinals and Browns potentially looking to move back, while the Cowboys and Jets could be looking to try to move up to grab value before it disappears. So don't expect a quiet draft night, because it could be very, very chaotic in Pittsburgh.
The real value in this class is day 2, rounds 2 and 3, and that's where scouts believe you find starters and maybe even stars. Keep an eye on names like Chris Bell out of Louisville, Avion Terrell out of Clemson, and D'Angelo Pounds out of Indiana. These are the types of players that might not go round 1, but could end up bidding better than half the guys who do. And we see this every year. Teams that draft well on day 2 are usually the ones playing deep into January because they're loading up on depth. You can find a lot of depth guys in the middle of a lot of different drafts. And you also want to look at linebackers, DB types, running back types. These are the ones not only that fill out your roster, but also help you a lot with special teams. You can find a lot of those players in the middle rounds, the non-sexy picks, if you will, that nobody likes seeing go in the first round. I like being able to draft guys like that a little bit more so, and always draft best available. Otherwise, you're getting into a jam. The teams that usually run into the biggest mistakes are the ones that look, oh, we got to get a receiver playmaker, because that wins the press conference, but that doesn't win you a lot of games. The biggest weakness, though, in the draft, defensive tackle, and that's an area that a lot of teams need.
Yeah, there's no dominant can't-miss interior guy this year, but one name continues to come up as the safest bet to go in the first round. That's Caden McDonald. He's not flashy. He's not a pass rush monster, but he's a true run stuffer. And in today's NFL, that still has value. He could sneak into the back end of the first round, or at worst, go early in the second round. And that's part of the reason why you saw the Cincinnati Bengals going after a guy like Dexter Lawrence from the New York Giants last week, was to try to fill that void that they know they're not going to be able to get during the draft.
Players with there's a lot of players that have wild ranges, because that's just how unpredictable this draft's going to be. And this is where things get even more unpredictable. Take Caleb Downs, for example. He can go as high as number 5 in the draft. He can also slide outside the top 10, depending how the big board breaks. Then there's Jordan Tyson. Talent-wise, he's a top 15 player, but he's got injury concerns, and that could push him into the second round. Kenyon Sadiq feels like one of the safer bets, a mid-first round tight end in a class that doesn't have much depth at that position. So you've got a lot of volatility, and that's what makes this draft very fascinating. So a few teams to really keep an eye on. Your New York Giants at number 5, Frank.
Yeah, they'd love to track back, but if they stay, Caleb Downs is very much in play, and they also have the number 10 now after trading Dexter Lawrence. The Pittsburgh Steelers are at number 21. No clear direction. They still don't know who their quarterback is. They filled needs in free agency, so this could be a true best player available pick for the Steelers. And the Philadelphia Eagles coming in at number 23. Don't be surprised if they go back to the trenches. Offensive line is very, very much on their radar, especially at the back end of the first round.
Never have too many linemen, man. You always got to load up on the linemen. So this draft is less about hitting a home run at the top and more about stacking quality across your roster. Definitely a depth class in terms of building depth with names that are not household names. And we're even hearing that there could be a run on offensive linemen. There should be. That's how you win in the NFL, is having good offensive linemen. So possibly up to 10 in the first round, which tells you exactly where the league is headed. Build inside out. That has created a lot of success for NFL teams in the past. Protect your quarterback. Here at the Bill House Studios, we know how. He's Frank Marchese. I'm Braden Surprenant. This is the Braden Surprenant Show, live and local each every day from 10 to 2 on San Diego's Urban Sports Station 97.3 The Fan. We appreciate you guys tuning in on YouTube. If you haven't done so already, you can subscribe to our YouTube page, because we broadcast live each and every day. YouTube.com/@B_SURP. If you are watching on the fan account, you can follow all of our social media platforms. They are in links below in the description below. Give us a like on the YouTube page. Try to grow our channel. We're trying to grow our show as much as possible. When you like and you comment, it helps us out. How it helps spread the word of the Braden Surprenant Show and all of our Padres content. We got tons of extra content on the Braden Surprenant Show page. So if you haven't done so already, hit subscribe. It's free to do. And then you can find us every day on YouTube. It's super easy to do. It makes things a lot easier for you. And again, it's free. So youtube.com/@B_SURP. If you're watching from the fan account, there's 150 of you on there. We appreciate you guys joining us today. First of all, give us a like. That's great. But if you go to the YouTube page, youtube.com/@973thefan, which is probably where you found our show, on the main page, it says our shows. And underneath our shows, it said subscribe. So you can subscribe to Ben Woods' channel. You can subscribe to our channel, Gwen and Chris, Sam Levitt, Matt Scraby. And then that way, when you subscribe to all of our channels and 97.3 The Fan, because we do different things on our channels that's not always on the Fan, your feed is going to be a lot of San Diego sports. So that's fantastic. Loaded up with San Diego sports. And again, a lot of our stuff on YouTube is a lot of the sports that we don't have time to cover during our 4 hours. We talk about the NBA. We talk about the NHL. We talk about the goals, San Diego goals who are in the playoffs right now. I saw the on Arrow Drive on the 15 South, there was a bunch of San Diego goals playoff banners, which is great. Some playoff signs. So good to see that. We have that on there. High school sports with NASCAR coming to town later on in June. We do motorsport. We got tons of extra content on there. So, and it's all with a San Diego view on things. So if you want some more content, subscribe to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/@B_SURP. You can also do it at the YouTube on the 97.3 The Fan account as well. youtube.com/@973 The Fan. All right. So while a lot of people have tuned in today, we had the breaking news from the Padres. I don't even have to say somebody's reporting. The Padres just announced that they have signed Lucas Giolito. They did that right at 10 in the morning. They signed him to a 1-year contract with a mutual option for 2027, and they have optioned him to Single-A Lake Elsinore. President of Baseball Operations, General Manager AJ Preller, announced that today to make room, because I saw some people in the YouTube chat asking, to make room on the 40-man roster, the club has transferred right-handed pitcher Brian Hoeing to the 60-day injured list. So somebody asked who's getting sent down. Nobody's gotten sent down yet. In order to do this, they had to take Brian Hoeing on the put him on the 60-day injured list. If you put somebody on the 60-day injured list, it frees up a 40-man spot. So he has been added to the 40-man roster. That's step number 1. Now, in 25 days, Lucas Giolito has to be added to the Major League club, which is going to happen. And at that point, after they give him some rehab assignment, if you will, down in Single-A or wherever they want to move him around, I think they just put him in Lake Elsinore because it's close. Lucas Giolito is from L.A. He went to Harvard Westlake for high school. So, I mean, he's probably still here locally in Southern California. Probably making it easier for him just to be close to the team and everything like that. So he'll probably make a couple of starts, would be my guess. And before we dive more into what this means for the Padres and some moves, I do want to put the number out there. If you want to call in, tell us what you feel. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. Padres are in first place. Talk to us about last night's game. Give us a call about Lucas Giolito. Let us know what you're feeling. Okay, before we talk even further about what this could potentially do for the rotation, decisions looming for the Padres, with this signing, let's hear from a couple of weeks ago on Baseball Isn't Boring when they interviewed Lucas Giolito about what he is looking for, just to kind of get that energy of Lucas excited for the season, as well as what he's willing to do to get up to speed, what he's been working on. Here's Lucas Giolito on Baseball Isn't Boring.
I'm sorry, what?
Here's Lucas Giolito on Baseball Isn't Boring.
I'm sorry.
Why aren't you signed?
The last few months has been very strange, to where talks seem like they're heating up, and then it's like, oh, okay, never mind. And And so I just want to play for close to what my value is. Everything is based on these models now, right? Everyone uses projection and models and things like that to kind of determine, and like my agency does the same thing. So it's like, all right, cool. Give me something that's relatively close to that. And let's go and get it. That's why I'm here. That's why I'm coming here 6 days, 5, 6, 7 days a week, depending on where I'm at in my routine, and throwing live and staying ready. You know, I'm kind of maintaining a pitch count around 75 each time I throw live, just so that when I get the opportunity, it's like, all right, cool. What do you want me to throw a game in AAA to get ready? Or do you want to put me right in for 5 innings? Like, I'll do whatever. I'm happy to do whatever once I get the opportunity.
That was him on Baseball Isn't Boring. So that's kind of like, again, he went through the process of what it was trying to get signed and where he was at. That was from a couple of weeks ago. Padres have announced Lucas Giolito as being signed to the roster. So that's great. He's going to start in single A to try to kind of build back up. And as he mentioned, he has been throwing like 70 pitch outings. He's been trying to simulate it. But Frank, as we know, that is something you can't replicate without getting actual game reps. He's going to need some game reps before you throw him into the rotation. But as I've said before, I think this is a great move for the Padres. Still trying to wait on some. I haven't seen details yet on how much money he has signed for the 1 year, but a 1 year deal to take a chance on a guy that had a pretty good bounce back year in 2025 after missing all of 2024 with an injury. I think this kind of fits what the Padres have put together for the rotation. And here's the other thing. I've mentioned it before. I think this rotation, as assembled, even with Lucas Giolito, was good enough to get to the trade deadline. That's really all you need to do at this point. This is not going to be the playoff rotation for the Padres. I would imagine AJ Preller is going to have some moves up his sleeve at the trade deadline.
Yeah, and exactly. This is also kind of a signal, if you didn't know already, that this is not going to be a short time away for Nick Pivetta either. So you pick up Lucas Giolito, you pick up a veteran arm. I wouldn't look too much into his 2023 numbers because of what happened in 2024, missing the whole season with injury. So he was definitely dealing with something in 2023. They didn't find out until later in the year. I'm encouraged by this pickup that you've got some depth now that you can deploy. You're not worried about running out of potential arms. Okay, now when Griffin Canning comes back, it's most likely going to be Matt Waldron. Then when Joe Musgrove goes back, it's probably going to be German Marquez. And then what happens if somebody else gets hurt? You don't really have anyone that you trust coming up behind. And now you have Lucas Giolito, which in the right scenario could turn this into a 6-man rotation kind of conversation again, depending upon how well everybody does upon their returns.
Bob Nightingale reporting that the Padres are paying starter Lucas Giolito a base salary of $3 million, and that will be prorated with incentives for an additional $5 million. Wow. That's pretty affordable. I mean, a prorated 1 year, $3 million deal with incentives for an additional $5 million. That's kind of a steal, Frank.
Yeah, for sure.
So again, this is another move that the Padres have put together that is not going to cost a lot, where you're taking a risk. There's still some risk, right? Like I saw, Rod's excited. He was like, "This reminds me of signing Kevin Brown in '98." Well, this guy ain't Kevin Brown. This guy ain't Kevin Brown. But I tell you what, he's for $3 million. I think it's worth the risk. And here's the thing for Lucas Giolito. This is why it makes sense for him too. Look, he has an opportunity. I have to address this. Augie in the YouTube chat says Preller showed up with a California burrito and told Giolito to come home. Maybe that's part of it. Maybe he wanted the Mexican food. Who knows? This is a good move for Lucas Giolito too, because he needed to sign somewhere. Yeah, he can't take all of 2025 off, all of 2026 off after starting all of 2024 off. Right? all of 2024 he missed because of an injury. He wants that big contract. Everybody passed on him this year. He needs to play. So for $3 million, not only does he get an opportunity to show that last year is what he is and not what 2023 was when he was battling injuries, or even 2022 when who knows if he was battling injuries that year either. But that 2025 was more like Lucas Giolito, more so than 2022 and 2023, where his numbers just like went through the roof in a bad way. On top of that, for $3 million, with incentives up to $5 million, not only can he show what he's got, but he can be on a team that's competitive. Look, I know guys like money. We've talked about that a lot on these shows. They still want to win. It's a lot more fun being on a team that's expected to win baseball games than it is if he signed a deal to go pitch for the Marlins and then wait for a trade deadline. Like wait to get traded at the deadline and do the Josh Bell approach, if you will. I mean, how many bad teams has Josh Bell signed with just to get traded at the deadline? Seems like a lot.
Quite a bit.
But I feel like for both teams or both sides of this entity, this was a great deal for both sides. Like Giolito has an opportunity to play his way up to $5 million. He'll take that. That's better than nothing, which what he was currently getting. And he gets to play in a place that is expected to be good and a place that's fun to pitch at. And he gets to work with Ruben Niebla. I mean, how about that? We don't even really talk about that too much. I mean, how much is the Ruben Niebla factor of like getting you back to speed is what a lot of these guys are doing. I mean, look at the track records right now. Randy Vásquez is pitching great. Michael King back to pitching really good in terms of his overall numbers. I mean, Walker Buehler's been solid. Germán Marquez continues to get better. I mean, you look at the players that they have brought in. I know it's a small sample size, but so far, Frank, I mean, you got to give this pitching staff and the coaching staff some credit. I mean, Nick Pivetta last year, that was the best year he's had in his career. I mean, I think that people are watching this and they know that they could be flipped into something. But I mean, Michael King was a reliever before he came over here to San Diego, and he's looked good as a starter. Seth Lugo was able to come here in San Diego, work with Ruben Niebla, have a great year as a starting pitcher, and then you know what he did? He went and signed a big lucrative contract. You know what? You're the Padres. You could kind of, it's okay. You could be that team. You could be the team that brings in guys. You take a chance on them from a pitching standpoint. They're still in their young 30s. They could go sign a deal. You get them back on track and go, hey, thanks for the memories. Go enjoy your big contract. And then go find the next guy for like $2 to $3 million. So far, so good. I know it's early in the season and things can happen and things can go south fast, but I like the move for Lucas Giolito. I really do. I think this builds this rotation. And honestly, I think it's a sign of what A.J. Preller can work with. I think it's a sign of what Ruben Niebla is able to do with the guys that they bring in and what he's been able to do with some of these pitchers. I mean, I tell you what, I'm holding my breath tonight about Walker Buehler pitching in Colorado because he has been, like him and Germán Marquez have both been a little shaky all year. They've been really good. They've been really bad. I mean, it's a little bit of mix. And Walker Buehler's looked a lot better at Petco Park than he has on the road. And so I can see how this could be a tough night for him tonight against the Rockies, who have started to come back a little bit from life over the weekend when they took 2 games from the Dodgers. But he goes out there and shoves tonight like Randy Vásquez did. You're going to have some interesting decisions to make in 25 days when they got to bring Lucas Giolito up from single A. I think everybody's talking about who's getting sent down or who's getting cut. Have we talked about maybe keeping 6? We'll talk about that next. Braden Surprenant Show, Setting Us Up Sports Station 97 through the Fan.
Hey,
Broadcasting live from the Bill House Studios, we know how. 11 o'clock, hour number 2 of the Braden Surprenant Show. Big news. Lucas Giolito is now a San Diego Padre. I think, and here's the details of this. Okay, so the Padres announced it before anybody else that they have signed Lucas Giolito to a 1-year contract. I got to check John Heyman here for a second, see if he had it before Bob Nightingale on the deal. There it is. San Diego Padres have signed right-handed pitcher Lucas Giolito to a 1-year contract with a mutual option for 2027 and have optioned him to Single A Lake Elsinore. President of Baseball Operations, General Manager AJ Preller announced today at 10 in the morning. We love it. It's great. It's awesome. To make room on the 40-man roster, the club has transferred right-handed pitcher Brian Hoeing to the 60-day injured list. So he is already on the 40-man, according to a report from Kevin Acee, because people saw he got sent down to Single A, whatever it may be. The report is he's got 25 days down there, and then he's got to get added to the roster, or the Padres could theoretically lose him, which I don't think there is going to be the case, because Lucas Giolito, as we played from a couple of weeks ago when he was on with Baseball Isn't Boring in the podcast, he talked about how he was throwing 70 pitch outings, if you will, going through some simulations. Those are not game reps. Those are the closest thing he could potentially give himself to game reps, but they're not game reps. And he was willing to, I'll do whatever. You want me to pitch now? It's fine. You want me to get a rehab assignment in? I'll do that. I just want to go out there and pitch. And so he's going to be in Single A. It's going to be cool great for the guys down in Single A, by the way. Great for them. Because Giolito's going to come down, he's going to buy him dinner and stuff. He's going to take care of a lot of those things. I mean, great for the Padres pitchers down there. They get to work with Lucas Giolito for a little bit. That's also awesome. But if you look at the top prospects, the Padres top pitching prospect and Cruz Schoolcraft is down there in Single A right now, Lake Elsinore. Humberto Cruz down there in Lake Elsinore. There's a lot of the players that the Padres expect to be that next wave are down for the Lake Elsinore Storm right now. And it's great for Lucas Giolito to be a part of that for a little bit. That's a side point. Now, they signed Lucas Giolito. They put Brian Hoeing on the 60-day injured list. That opens up a 40-man spot. And Lucas Giolito has 25 days down in the minor leagues to kind of build up that strength, to build up the game reps, to be ready to go for the Padres to enter this rotation. People want to know about money. Here's the report that we got from John Heyman first. Giolito signs with the Padres for $3 million prorated. So it's prorated throughout the year. So the Padres aren't going to have to pay him the full $3 million, whatever, towards the cap, because it's prorated. Also, as part of that, there are incentives for Lucas Giolito that could potentially get him up to $5 million. According to, and again, take this for what it's worth, according to Fangraphs on the Padres payroll, they have Lucas Giolito on the 1-year, $2.551 million. So they say $500,000 the Padres did by doing the prorated contract for Lucas Giolito. He is only accounting for $2.5 million towards the luxury tax. So AJ Preller worked his magic again. He got a solid starter for the rotation. It didn't cost him a ton of money. And I do find it interesting that the Padres have now announced a move in which they have spent money up to, they're putting $5 million down on a pitcher in the middle of the season, beginning of the season, while in first place, something they didn't have to do. So there's a different business side angle that I want to get to, but I really want to talk about this from a pitching angle of where does he fit in? So here's what we know right now. I think everybody's starting to do the math on this, right? The Padres right now have in their starting rotation Michael King, Randy Vásquez, Walker Buehler, Herman Marquez, and Matt Waldron. Right? And nobody's got any problems with that, correct? Those are the 5 men of the rotation. Okay. Griffin Canning is coming back sooner rather than later. Is that live? Is that about to start? That yes. El Paso start? Okay. Yes. So Lucas Giolito is about to make his 4th rehab assignment. Griffin Canning, sorry. Griffin Canning's about to make his 4th rehab assignment with the El Paso Chihuahuas in a matter of like minutes, it seems like, out there in El Paso. He's coming up He's coming up soon. He's expected to be on the team in the first week of May. That gives you about 2 more starts for whoever may be left in this rotation. When Griffin Canning comes up, I would imagine that Matt Waldron is getting sent down unless the guy goes like 7 innings of no-run ball against Arizona. He's pitching Mexico City, right?
No, last game. He's pitching tomorrow in the last game against the Cubs.
Oh yeah, he flipped in before Amon Marquez. That's right. So Waldron's probably getting sent down or snuck through waivers. I think Matt Waldron is going to survive waivers, and I think he's going to be back in El Paso. That would be my guess. And so I think he's going to be waiting in the wings. So then your rotation is going to be King, Vasquez, wherever they put Canning at this point in time, somewhere in there, Buehler and Marquez. And you're going to have that for probably 2 to 3 more starts for everybody in there before you're going to have to make a decision again on Lucas Giolito. Now, Lucas Giolito is going to be on the team. So that means somebody else has to come off. And what can happen to make it easy is someone can just completely go into the tank. It can happen. Armand Marquez could just completely lose it and just go into the crapper. Walker Buehler could just totally lose it and go into the crapper. It makes the decision a little bit easier. But if they continue to pitch like they're pitching, it brings up an interesting question. And in a league where you need depth and you need pitching depth, especially starting pitching depth, what do you do with the rotation? Do you cut ties with somebody and then go like, oh, so-and-so got hurt in the middle of the year. We can't bring this guy back. He's gotten picked up by somebody. They're either going to put somebody on the injured list and continue that shell game, or we bring up the 6-man rotation idea again. Now, the morning show had Craig Stammen on as part of their manager's report earlier today. Obviously, they didn't talk about this because it hadn't been official yet. But we are going to talk about what Craig Stammen said on the show later on in our show. But as this being a good problem to have, does it make sense that you go to a 6-man rotation? I think a lot of people were against it about taxing the bullpen early in the year. I think a lot of people are like, I don't know if that's the case because weren't sold on Armand Marquez or on Walker Buehler. But with the way that Randy Vásquez is pitching deeper in the games, and Michael King, who's expected to pitch deeper into games, and now, by the way, I mean, Walker Buehler and Armand Marquez they're giving you the 5 innings. I mean, if they're giving you 5 innings, then you go to a 6-man rotation and they're giving you innings, it doesn't tax your bullpen as much. And so maybe that's the direction you go. Armand Marquez in his last, if he goes in his next 2 or 3 starts before they have to make a decision, and he's giving you outings that you can win games, and he's giving you at least 5 innings, and Walker Buehler does the same thing, I'm telling you, I think you have to really consider a 6-man rotation here in San Diego, which is a good problem to have. Armand Marquez, last 3 starts, again, his first one was kind of a clunker. Last 3 starts, 5 innings, 6 innings. That's what you're asking for. That's what you're asking him to do. We talked about at the beginning of the year. We talked about in spring training when Kevin Acee put out the report about what an average number 5 starter does in a rotation. On a playoff team, he goes 5 innings and gives up 3 runs or less. Kind of what you're looking for. Now, let's talk about Walker Buehler. Walker Buehler, so far this year, in his game looks, look, he's had a clunker too. All right, he had that out against the Red Sox. He'll go 3 innings. He gave you 4, 3, and then 6 and 6. Or sorry, 6 and 5. He was trying to go for a 6th. He's also given you the innings. So if these guys are giving you the innings where you don't have to worry too much about bullpens getting taxed, honestly, the 6-man rotation is making a lot of sense, I think, Frank, if in fact these guys continue to play like they're playing and an injury doesn't happen and nobody plays their way out of the rotation. Because yes, I think everybody knows that Matt Waldron is probably the odd man out with the addition of Lucas Giolito. But remember, Griffin Canning is coming back first. And so now you still have to make that decision between Buehler and Marquez with Giolito, or you keep all of them and you go to a 6-man rotation.
And that decision doesn't get any easier, especially with the impending return of Joe Musgrove, whenever that may be. Because then you have pretty much 7 starters at that point if everyone performs. So
we're going to deal with that when that,
exactly,
right. Because here's the other thing too. Until Joe goes on a rehab assignment,
he's out.
He's out. And it's going to take him a long time to come back until he gets to that point. So you have a lot more time before then. And also you have a trade deadline coming up.
Mm-hmm.
Who knows? They might add to this rotation if that's the case. But just in this particular situation, a 6-man rotation to me makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, that, and you also have guys like a Walker Buehler. We've seen it over the last couple of starts. It'd be interesting to see what he does today in Colorado. He does have experience pitching in Colorado, of course, with the Dodgers. But it would be interesting to see if they would consider moving him to the bullpen, because we've seen over his last couple of outings, he has a bit of a time getting through the lineup for a second time. So maybe it's a thing where he's an opener for a couple of innings. Maybe he goes to the bullpen and a bullpen guy goes down, so you can still keep a 5-man rotation, but you still have all of those guys on the team. The Padres have a very good problem to have right now. And it's going to be about working in who deserves to be here and who unfortunately doesn't. Weeding out who doesn't.
I think it's an interesting conversation. I mean, but here's the reality. Like, you can't, like, a lot of fans might just be like, well, send somebody down to AAA. You can't be like sending people down to AAA because these guys aren't going back to AAA. And guess what they're not going to do? They're not going to, first of all, they're going to not make it through waivers is going to be the first problem. And second, if they do make it through waivers, they're going to ask for their release because they know they've pitched well enough to be on a big league club and not have to go to El Paso. No offense to El Paso, but Walker Buehler and Marquez don't want to do that. Not with the success that they have had at the major league level. Now, a couple of things I had in the YouTube chat, somebody did bring the question back up when it comes to Nick Pivetta. If Nick Pivetta is on the injured list through August 21st, his contract turns into a club option for next year, which means the Padres wouldn't have to pick it up. They'd just be like, all right, you're gone. See ya. We're not going to add the $14 million for next year. So it's not like a situation where, because Pivetta had the opt-out himself, it's not like if he misses the rest of the season, he's going to opt into a contract next year, and now you got to pay him $14 million. He makes it to August. If he's on the injured list by August 21st, through August 21st, it's now a club option. And I don't think they're picking it up. So that's a little bit more on the business side of things when it comes to this situation. But to me, I think you can make the 6-man rotation work. Now, here's the other situation, though. Now you got to talk about the bullpen a little bit. Because now, if you decide that you are going to do a 6-man rotation, that means you have one less bullpen arm.
You actually have 2 less.
Well, don't jump too far ahead. You're ruining my tease.
Okay.
Yes, you're gonna have a couple less because you have other players coming back. But as of right now, your bullpen consists of Mason Miller, Kyle Hart, Bradley Rodriguez, Adrian Morejon, Wandy Peralta, Ron Marinaccio, David Morgan, Jason Adam. Right? That's 8. 3, 6, 7, 8. Right. So it would drop you down to 7 because you carry 13 pitchers. Now, if you had a 2-way guy on your team, you could carry an extra pitcher and it wouldn't be his problem. Somebody put a bat in one of these guys' hands. Consider him a 2-way guy. We can get an extra roster spot that the Dodgers get. Anyway, I digress with that.
Ronnie Marinara, you're hitting now. Go.
Yeah. Are you related to Maggio at all? Why would you say that? Aren't you both Italian? Excuse me?
It's a distant relationship.
Yeah, exactly. No? Give Adrian Moore a bat. See if he can swing it. So you have 8 guys in the bullpen. You're going to have to go down to 7. Right now, here's what you would have to do. So out of the players that you mentioned, the thing that comes first is Yuki Matsui. Honestly, I'm going to be honest with you. Is Yuki Matsui better than anybody right now in the bullpen?
No.
I don't think he really is. Is Yuki Matsui expendable at this point? I mean, like, we're going to talk about the business side of this move with like new ownership and everything in the next segment, but I mean, you're paying Yuki Matsui $5.75 million this year. He accounts for $5.6 million towards the luxury tax payroll. You have to pay him an additional $6.5 million in 2027. Oh, and by the way, in 2028, guess what Yuki Matsui has?
A raise?
He has an option. Is it a club or a player option?
That'd be a player option.
It's a player option. You know how much it's worth for? You know how much it's worth?
Is it a raise from what it currently is now?
It's $7 million. You want to guarantee yourself having to pay that entire thing through without even letting Yuki Matsui on the big league club this year? I mean, I highly doubt that happens. Highly doubt it. So with those 8 players, Yuki Matsui is expected to be back at the beginning of May. So you have to already take somebody off the big league roster to accommodate Yuki Matsui. Who's it going to be? That's a difficult question for the Padres. And for anybody that says, like, oh, Wandy Peralta, you owe him money too. Those guys aren't really the answers.
You also have Jeremiah Estrada coming back, too.
I haven't gotten to that yet. So this is just for Yuki to come back. And then if you decide to go to 6-man rotation, you have to take somebody else off the roster in the bullpen. Then when Jeremiah Estrada comes back, that's another name you have to take off the roster. Now, that being said, Frank, you were way ahead of this, but you understand where we're going with this.
Yeah.
They have to make these difficult decisions until they start like throwing other and we don't want anybody to get hurt. Sometimes this happens, but the only thing stopping the Padres from having to make some very difficult decisions as they have continued to kick the can down the road since spring training would be injuries to some of these players. I don't know how many of these are going to pop up over the next couple of weeks, but that's the situation with the pitching staff is if you decide to go to a 6-man rotation, you're running out of names to drop on the bullpen because you already have to make some decisions with players coming back. Now, there are some other entities with the bullpen. We're going to talk about that when we come back. Trying to figure the bullpen out is almost just as complicated as trying to figure out the starters. But these are all good problems to have, and we'll discuss these good problems on the other side on the Braden Surprenant Show, San Diego Sports Station 97 through the Fan. San Diego State baseball and softball both delivered major storylines this week, but for very different reasons. The baseball team looked locked in, rolling past UCSD 9-1 with a complete performance, 3 home runs, every starter recording a hit, and dominant pitching that allowed just 2 hits all game. They followed it up with a gritty extra inning win over Long Beach State, proving this team can win both blowouts and tight games. Meanwhile, San Diego State softball showed its full range against a ranked Grand Canyon team, struggling in 2 early losses, including a 12-3 and 11-2 defeat before completely flipping the script. In the finale, the Aztecs responded with a dominant 9-1 run rule win, powered by early offense, home runs, and a locked-in pitching performance. So the big picture for San Diego State right now, baseball is building consistency, while softball is proving it can bounce back from anything, but still searching for stability, and both are hitting the most important part of the season at the exact same time. Aztecs athletics is hitting a key stretch of the spring calendar where momentum, identity, and consistency all start to matter at once. This week, both baseball and softball programs gave us clear examples of where things stand, one trending upwards with confidence, the other showing both volatility and bounce back potential. Let's start on the diamond with baseball.
Yep, San Diego State delivered one of its most complete performances of the season, rolling past UC San Diego 9-1 at Tony Gwynn Stadium. This was a full package win, 3 home runs, every position player recorded a hit, and a dominant pitching and defensive performance as well. The Aztecs snapped a 3-game losing streak in the process and continued their recent dominance over the Tritons, winning 4 of their last 5 matchups. And Tice Peterson really had a big game in that lineup for that game.
On to the side of pitching and defense for this particular deal. Pitching staff may have been even more important than the offense in this one. 4 pitchers combined on a 2-hit game led by Carson Johnson, who delivered 5 scoreless innings, 0 walks, 5 strikeouts. That 0 walk number stands out. It signals command, tempo, control, and trust in the defense behind him. And defensively, Aztecs backed it up with a highlight level play that helped preserve the shutout momentum deep into the game. And the follow-up test against Long Beach State wasn't a isolated performance. Aztecs followed it with a 7-5 extra inning win over Long Beach State, a very different kind of victory. That game showed resilience down to its final strike. In the 9th, game-tying RBI single to extend it, then a 3-run 12th inning to close it. That's a team learning how to win multiple ways, something that matters a lot heading through conference play.
Yeah, for San Diego State right now at 21-18, they're showing the signs of a team starting to stabilize. They're strong at home, competitive in tight games, 7-3 in 1-run games, and capable of both blowout wins and grind out victories. The next step is consistency over a full series and not just individual games.
On to the softball field, where the story of the week was inconsistency following a strong statement win. Against the 19th-ranked Grand Canyon Lopes, the Aztecs dropped the first 2 games of the series, a 12-3 loss in 5, and then an 11-2 defeat. Early innings were the issue. Grand Canyon jumped out fast, including a first-inning grand slam and a massive second-inning surge in Game 1. Defensive miscues and pitching struggles early made it difficult to recover in both games, but they did have some offensive bright spots.
Yeah, even in the losses, there were some clear offensive positives. Olivia Gignett continued her power surge with her 11th home run of the season. Kyla Pollard added a career-high 4th home run, and multiple hitters showing the ability to produce even against a top 25 pitching staff. And that matters because the offense is not the issue for this team's ceiling.
So it was a complete turnaround on the response game. They closed the series with a 9-1 run rule over Grand Canyon. They flipped the entire tone of the weekend. Good to salvage the weekend, but softball big picture, 22-22 overall. This is a team with a definitely clear profile, capable of explosive offensive innings, vulnerable early against elite pitching, but also capable of immediate response after adversity. The challenge now is consistency, specifically avoiding an early inning collapse. That defined the first 2 games of the Grand Canyon series, but the ceiling is clearly there, especially, with Pollard and Gigante providing consistent power threats. Now, one last thing about this update. We got the update on Monday that the Aztecs have re-signed, it seems like, a couple of players in which they're going to have back Ty Simmons. They're going to have LZ Harrington back. Luttrell's coming back, as well as Thok. And you got a group that is something that they could build with. But the biggest news, LZ Harrington is back with the Aztecs, as well as Ty Simmons. Those are the 2 that we talked about, Frank, were the biggest priority for this team going. We've gone through multiple times. I will say this. When we go through this, you're going to be shocked at who's got options and who doesn't. Maybe you won't be shocked. He's Frank Marchese. I'm Braden Surprenant. This is the Braden Surprenant Show, live and local each and every day from 10 to 2 on San Diego's number one sports station, 97.3. The Fan. We are broadcasting live from the Bill House Studios. We know how. Draft coverage on 97.3 The Fan is presented nationally by Liberty Mutual Insurance. Only pay for what you need. Liberty Mutual. Liberty. We should get an emu for this.
Liberty bibbity.
There you go. All right. Let's talk about this Sudoku puzzle that the Padres have to put together here. It's not easy, But these are good. This is all good problems to have. Look, you're sitting in first place. You're 16-7, right? You had a 2-5 start to the year. Everybody thought this team was like never going to make the playoffs, which, by the way, they're on a good stretch. They could go into the crapper too at the same time. It's still early in the year, but they're playing good baseball across the board. They're finding ways to win. I talked a little bit about that in my open, but they signed Lucas Giolito today. The Padres have signed Lucas Giolito. Sources? Well, the Padres. The Padres put it out there. They have signed Lucas Giolito. They have signed him to a 1-year deal for $3 million.
Hold on, wait a second.
What?
I think it's finally going to happen. Guys, rejoice. San Diego, rejoice. Bob Nightingale was on foul territory today.
Oh, I saw that. Save it.
Okay.
We're going to do that later.
Yes.
I saw what he said.
Rejoice,
We're
San
going to play
Diego.
the clip. Yes. We're going to get to the business side of this conversation in a second. But from a on-field perspective, now again, this is fun. We're doing this for fun. This is fun. Have fun. Enjoy the fun with us having fun. Trying to fill out this is the time where you play manager and general manager on the radio. It's fun. Now, again, injuries are going to happen eventually. I don't need the whole, when people want to rain on people's parade and just be like, if an injury happens, they could just go in the IL. Yeah, I get that. Yeah, okay. Thanks. Appreciate it. Okay? Yes, I understand. Some of these players can play their way off the roster. Some of these players could get injured. This usually has a way of working itself out. That is my disclaimer for piecing this together. Okay? We have given that disclaimer before, have we not, Frank? We did that in spring training.
I think we did, yeah.
I am going to reiterate it before I get some type of some guy wanted to be smart in the channel. Well, yeah. Thank you. Okay. Here's the situation that the Padres have in terms of who's still on this team. Now, again, all good problems to have. With the Padres signing Lucas Giolito and Griffin Canning coming up, you have two guys on the horizon that are going to join this starting rotation. The starting rotation, I think overall, Frank, has been solid. I think it's been good.
It's been beleaguered, dude.
Well, that means they just, they're piecing together the thing, and it's like, okay, so it's beleaguered doesn't mean they've been bad. It's just, it was an unnecessary adjective. Foul for being unnecessary.
He draws the foul.
Foul for being unnecessary. Okay. So let's go through the rotation first before we even solve the problem that is the bullpen. So I think the easiest move is, unless he goes out and throws a no-hitter in his next game or completely shoves and then you have to head scratch. I think the easiest move is in 2 weeks when Canning is back, who's pitching right now. He's already gotten 20 pitches here in the top half of the second. He's pitching for El Paso right now in his 4th rehab assignment. Is when Canning comes back, Waldron gets taken off. That would be my first guess, which means you got to put Waldron through waivers. If he makes it through waivers, which I believe he will be added to AAA El Paso, and you don't have to worry about it. If he gets picked up by waivers, congratulations to Matt Waldron. We wish you wish you best on your next endeavor. Okay, I think that's the easy one. Now, you get to Lucas Giolito. And when Lucas Giolito comes back, he has to be up on the big league club in the next 25 days. That's the rules. He's got to go down to Single A, Lake Elsinore. He's going to pitch a couple of times, probably. We haven't heard anything from the Padres, but I would imagine they're going to get him built up a little bit. He's been throwing 70-pitch outings on his own. Who knows who he's throwing against, right? You got to give him a game situation where the game flow and everything like that. So he's going to do that in Single A. They have 25 days to keep him down there. And then after that, he's getting added to the big league club. So when that happens, that's when the conversation comes out of who does he go on the rotation for. Now, if the Padres want to stick to a 5-man rotation, they're going to have to, again, pending injury, make a decision between Walker Buehler and Mal Marquez. Now, as soon as you make that decision, that player is never coming back. It would be they've pitched well enough, they're going to get picked up, and I doubt that they come back. You would have to wait for them to get cut by a team again, and then you'd have to go sign them. By that point, if that's what the case has been, maybe it's not worth picking up anyway. I don't want to digress any further on that. But when you make your decision between Buehler and Marquez, they're gone forever. They're not coming back. So if you want to keep all of them because they continue to give you 5 innings, 6 innings, an outing, which is great, you go to a 6-man rotation. I think a lot of people in the YouTube chat have kind of nodded their head, and I think I've been kind of on the path of I'm leaning towards the 6-man rotation, okay? Are you on board with the 6-man rotation, Frank? I feel like we're kind of on board with the 6-man rotation.
More or less, yeah.
Okay, so let's just do that. That means Giolito gets added, which means you only carry 7 pitchers now in the bullpen. But before you get to that point, you're going to have to make some decisions because Yuki Matsui needs to come back. Now, here's the thing. Before people just start saying they're going to cut Yuki Matsui, if the Padres are willing to just write him a check to go away, then by all means, they could just cut Yuki Matsui and be done with him. I highly doubt that's going to be the case. And you want to know why I highly doubt that's going to be the case? Because Yuki Matsui is owed $5.75 million this year, $6.5 million next year. He can opt out after either year, and he has a player option for $7 million in 2028. You cut him or DFA him, whatever it may be, because he's out of options. I guarantee you're going to have to play that full thing. Because guess what he's going to do? He's going to opt into his contract.
I think his contract came without options. You lose your options. If you have any options remaining, you lose that after 5 years. He's only at 2 and he doesn't have options. And he's never been down to the minors.
Sometimes with some of these negotiations, you can make it like a major league deal. Like it's always weird from when they sign the deals with the players from the KBO and players from Japan. Sometimes those guys can get option and sometimes they can't. And I don't know what type of conversation that is. I don't know what the CBA is on that with signing international players. I don't know if there's rules on that, but sometimes you have options and sometimes you don't. That's why a guy like Sun Moon Song can start in AAA. That's why Hai-Sun Kim can start in AAA. I do remember like Ha-Sun Kim was interviewed and one of the things that he said in terms of, I think it was for Hai-Sun Kim, I think when he was coming over from the KBO, they were like, oh, he talked to Ha-Sun Kim, and like, what was the advice on negotiating? And Ha-Sun Kim was quoted like saying, make sure you can't get sent down to the minor leagues, was like kind of like the big deal. So I think that's part of the negotiation. So I think since Yuki doesn't have a minor league, or since he doesn't have, as part of the contract, doesn't have options, I think in the contract, he has to agree to take the demotion, if you will, which who knows if he would or not. And if he doesn't agree to it, then I think you would have to DFA him, and then you're going to have to eat that money. Because I don't think anybody's going to pick him up on waivers and be like, okay, cool, we'll take on his contract. They'll just wait, and then they'll just sign him to a minor league deal. So Yuki Matsui is probably going to be on this team. Now, he has to be added, which means you have to take somebody off. I think the easiest one right now is Kyle Hart. It's a lefty for a lefty. I know Kyle Hart could be your long relief guy. I guess Yuki Matsui could be that guy, maybe, or Wandy Peralta, or maybe you mix it up of who comes in kind of a bad situation. Maybe it's Marinaccio, but I think right now it would have to be Kyle Hart because Kyle Hart has options. Or you make it David Morgan right now. Let's just say for case in point, it's David Morgan. Like, he's coming off not as great of an outing against the Angels. He has 2 options left. He's been used a lot already. You know, maybe it's a way to like keep him rested until somebody gets hurt and try not to use him as much in AA or AAA, because he got pulled up from AA. I mean, they could send him back down to San Antonio and not have to worry about him dealing with the altitude and stuff. So if that's the case, then you put Matsui in for Morgan. And at that point, you're set with your 8, but you still have other problems. And we got to take a break. So when we come back, let's talk about the other problems the Padres face with the bullpen as we try to piece this together with Lucas Giolito being signed earlier today. He's Frank Marchese. I'm Braden Surprenant. It's the Braden Surprenant Show. Standing over in Sports Station 97 through the Fan. San Diego FC just isn't just struggling anymore. They're starting to slip. 4-2 loss to Real Salt Lake, and the game was basically over in the first 6 minutes. 2 goals just like that off a turnover and a defensive breakdown. And that's the problem right now. Mistakes, big ones, early ones, costly ones. San Diego has now gone 5 straight MLS matches without a win. And in this one, Real Salt Lake had 9 shots and all 9 were on target. That's not bad luck. That's a defensive issue. And San Diego FC has had a lot of defensive issues in the last six games played. The offense is still not producing. Invartson is scoring. Dreyer is contributing, but it doesn't matter if you're constantly chasing the game. Right now, San Diego FC isn't losing because they lack talent. They're losing because they're making too many mistakes. And the question is, can they fix it before the season starts slipping away? Things are starting to slip fast. This is no longer just a rough stretch. This is starting to become a slide for San Diego FC, and they have now dropped 3 straight matches in MLS play, falling 4-2 to Real Salt Lake on the road. And honestly, final score doesn't even tell the full story.
Yeah, they were down 2-0 in the first 6 minutes. Diego Luna capitalizing on a goalkeeper mistake in the 5th, and then setting up Sergei Solans just a minute later. And just like that, the game was pretty much over. San Diego did not respond with a goal, did respond with a goal from Marcus Ingvartsen, who continued to be a bright spot, but Real Salt Lake just kept on coming. And by halftime, it was 4-1. And that was pretty much it at that point.
The pattern is pretty clear right now. At this point, the issues are no longer subtle. They're glaring issues. 5 straight MLS matches without a win, 6 straight across all competitions. Defensive breakdowns early and late, and mistakes leading directly to goals. This one started with a turnover by goalkeeper Duran Ferri, and from there, the floodgates opened. And here's the stat that really jumps out. Real Salt Lake had 9 shots, and all 9 were on target. That tells you everything about defensive pressure and shot quality.
Yeah, and again, in soccer, for those of you who are maybe new to the sport, especially following San Diego FC after the stunning run of form they had last year, shots and shots on target are counted as 2 separate statistics. So you may see a team have 15 shots, but only about 4 of them on target. To go 9 for 9, that's a lot of shots to be taking in a game, first of all. But to have that many go on target is absolutely insane, unless you're taking about 30 shots because the other team is just full in park the bus mode. So for them to be 9 for 9, that is a defensive lapse for San Diego FC. And this is the first real slide in the history of the franchise right now.
Offensively, they are a bright spot, but there's just not enough offensive bright spots for you to really point out. But to be fair, San Diego is still scoring, and Varkson now has 5 goals this season. Andres Dreyer added another from the penalty spot. The team has 15 goals in 7 matches. So the attack's not the problem. The problem is simple. They're constantly chasing games, and when you're always playing from behind, everything becomes harder tactically and mentally. And the other thing, too, at least they made the improvement. They were able to finish the game with the full 11 players. That's actually some pretty good news. But a few weeks ago, San Diego FC looked like one of the best stories in MLS, and now they look like a team that's hitting a wall.
Yeah, defensive structure is completely breaking down. Mistakes are compounding, and they're becoming more frequent. And with that, confidence starts to slip, and that's exactly what you're seeing right now. And while earlier we talked about how disciplined this team had been, the game is showing something else. Management is just not there. Game management, not front office. You can't give up 2 goals in the first 6 minutes, especially on the road, and expect to win. I mean, that is an insurmountable deficit, especially on the road for a lot of teams. And while Ingvartsen, I believe it was in the 14th minute, was able to score and bring the game closer, it's still just immediately out of reach from there.
Looking ahead, the schedule doesn't get any easier for San Diego FC. They head to face the Houston Dynamo and then comes home. Then they come home for a quick turnaround against the Portland Timbers. 3 games in 7 days. We saw this really tire out San Diego FC early in the season when they were part of the CONCACAF Champions Cup. So if there was ever a moment to respond, this is it, because if this stretch continues, the standings will start to reflect it quickly, and this might spiral out of control. 11:41 on the Fan. All guests join us on the SDCCU Fan Hotline. It's not Big Bank Banking. It's better. We will have a guest at the top of the hour as we will get to Mark Neville, who was previously scheduled. We're going to talk about a big event that's coming to San Diego. They get back to our conversation about Lucas Giolito and what's going on with this bullpen, what's going on with the rotation, and a lot of the good problems that the Padres have after the announcement of the signing of Lucas Giolito earlier today. All right. So we got to the point of canning for Waldron, and then Giolito, when he comes back, potentially being, we're going with the approach that you would go with a 6-man rotation. If you missed anything that we talked about in this hour, it's been about putting this roster together with the addition, because they're going to have some tough decisions to be made. We already put out the disclaimer out there. I don't need anybody telling us about how, this situation usually plays itself out. I get that. All right. That's not as fun to talk about on the radio. So canning for Waldron, Giolito, add to a 6-man rotation in this little world of how we're putting this together, which means you have to eliminate a bullpen arm. You already have to do that when Yuki comes back. Now, again, for a lot of people that just want to send Yuki Matsui away, he's owed a lot of money. I mean, if they're willing to just cut him a check to go away, sure. Then all of this falls on deaf ears. And we're going to talk a more business side of some of these moves in the noon hour. But Yuki Matsui, to recap, $5.75 million this year, $6.5 million next year, $7 million player option for 2028. It's a lot of money. So he's coming back. You're going to have to send somebody down. In terms of players with options, Morgan's got 2. Rodriguez has 2. Hart's got 1. And Mason Miller's got 3. He's got 3 options. I'm just saying.
If anyone is interested,
could you imagine?
If anyone's interested in getting fired out of a cannon,
could you imagine? I could not even imagine. Could you imagine?
Those poor AAA hitters.
I tell you what,
they could barely hit AAA.
That would be a hell of a April Fool's joke. Let me tell you. I mean, the Padres would never do that because they would just have a riot on their hands. I mean, like, really? I mean, he does have 3 options. I can't even take that seriously.
By the way, the only reason why Mason Miller still has 3 options left is because he's not hit 5 years of Major League service time. Morahone and Jason Adam this year both hit the 5 years of service time.
So they lose all their options.
Any options that they may have had are gone.
And they obviously haven't used Mason Miller's options in Oaklamento.
Couldn't imagine why.
Because I don't know. Because the guy throws 100 miles an hour. Probably don't need it.
Those poor AAA hitters.
Yeah, we really want to protect his mental psyche, though, of not having to pitch in the PCL. So we sent him down to AA. Oh, jeez.
I don't know who would be more upset, the AA hitters or Padre fans.
Yeah.
It's like, really? You're going to make us hit this guy?
Could be in Lake we're sending him to Lake Elsinore because it's closer to home. It's closer to here. We can monitor his situation a little bit. Oh, nice. Meanwhile, Ranch Cucamonga's like awful. Bruh. Come on, man.
Can we not?
All right, enough joking around. So Miller's got 3 options. That doesn't matter. He's not going anywhere. Adam's out. Morahone's out. Morgan has 2. Rodriguez has 2. Hart has 1. Let's just say, for the case in point of keeping Hart to be the long relief guy, that you option Morgan. I think you could option Hart. Hart might be easier because now you have 3 lefties in the bullpen. I don't necessarily know if that's a problem or not. I really don't think. No, now you'd have 4 lefties, actually. You would have Morahone, Matsui, Peralta, and Hart. Yeah, forget that. Let's just say Hart goes down. And then I would imagine David Morgan would be like your longer relief. I mean, he did start a game. He's gone 2 innings before. They can figure it out with a long relief guy.
That, and also Ron Marinaccio's gotten a lot of the bulk. Is like when games are out of reach, they just throw him until his arm falls off, and then they pull him. So I could see a world where Marinaccio is more of that eat innings kind of guy after a game's out of reach either way.
All right, so Matsui comes in for Hart. He's got an option. You're not going to lose him. It's fine. Maybe he goes down and builds up. And if you're a long relief guy, it's almost better to have him start games in El Paso.
Yeah.
To be honest, but who knows? So that's one of the moves. All right, so you still have 8 guys in your bullpen now, by the way. You do have to get down to 7. Estrada is on the 15-day IL. We don't necessarily know when he's coming back. I'm sure he's got a rehab assignment of some kind, maybe coming up soon. I haven't got any detail. We haven't seen anything new about Jeremiah Estrada, but that's another factor to it. But as of right now, let's say Estrada is not. I think Estrada. Do we think Estrada is going to be back before Giolito's ready to add to the rotation?
I would have to imagine so, yeah.
Okay. So, Miller, Adam, Morahone, Marinaccio, Peralta, Rodriguez, Matsui. You have to add Estrada back. Is Estrada going for Morgan? Or is he going for Bragley? There's no way. Here's the other thing, too. So, Morgan's got 2 options. Rodriguez has 2 options. That's it. You're either going to cut Marinaccio or you're going to send down Bragley. Those are your options. Or you're going to eat money on what, Matsui or Peralta.
And if you're, I don't think that's even a thought or a consideration, especially based on the article about Peralta we were going to get to today.
I think the veterans are there unless, Feliciano, the new owner, is going to come in and just write a check for him to go away.
Especially if Marinaccio is going to become your innings eater. I'm not risking putting him on waivers. So it's going to be either Bragley or Morgan. And the reason why I would send Morgan down is because of a point you made in the last segment, is how much he's been used already this year. I mean, there was a point where he was at 5 outings in 7 or 8 games. That's a lot early in the season. So you can send him down, save his arm a little bit, and then he's your first guy up if and when someone gets hurt.
We've already gotten rid of Hart, Cobra. You just tuned in late, but I'm telling you, it's a long process here.
Yeah, this has been an hour.
Somebody explain to Cobra King X in the YouTube chat where we're at this point.
So Cobra, we've gone with a 6-man rotation. We've swapped Hart for Yuki Matsui because he's coming back.
He has to come back, otherwise you're going to pay him a ton of money.
Yes, and now we're trying to figure out who the next person is.
In the bullpen, Estrada goes for Morgan, probably. Now, here's the other thing that's going to throw Cobra King off in the YouTube chat. It just came on. We still haven't added Giolito to the roster yet because we have 8 bullpen pieces. So we've gotten the bullpen back. So now you have Miller, Adam, Morahone, Marinaccio, Estrada, Peralta, Rodriguez. And now you have the rotation of King, Vasquez, Buehler, Canning, Marquez. So Giolito comes back. You are either going to go to a 6-man rotation, which is what we decided in the last segment they were going to do, or that we would do, which means you have to lop off another bullpen arm. And your option there is DFAing Marinaccio. That's not going to cost you anything, but he's gone.
Mm-hmm.
Sending Bradley Rodriguez down because he has 2 options, or eating money on Matsui or Peralta for them to go away permanently, but you're going to have to pay him if it's Peralta the next 2 seasons and it's Matsui it's the next 3 seasons. Now, I will say by the time that happens with Peralta, you've already paid him you don't
the majority
owe him that
of his
much
contract.
at that point. Maybe that's the case. And I feel it's a lot easier to eat $4.45 million next year than it is to eat the money that Matsui brings. So again, assuming there's no injury to anybody, the question is who's more valuable to your team, a starting pitcher like Buehler or Marquez, or maybe a Wandy Peralta, or maybe a Yuki Matsui with his money, or maybe is Bragley Rodriguez in there? I mean, I think do we think Bragley's going to keep this up? If he does, that's fantastic. I would love to see that. But is Bragley going to keep up this kind of pace right now? I mean, the guy's ridiculous.
If you're going with a 6-man rotation, they're both going to go down, Morgan and Rodriguez. unless you've seen enough out of Marinaccio to say no. He's
if he
not
gets tagged and he's just, he's got a 7 ERA and things are getting better.
They're both going to go down. It's who are you sending down first is really the case study. If you're doing
if that's the case, that means Rodriguez goes down. You add Giolito back to the team. Your 6-man rotation is King, Vasquez, Buehler, Canning, Marquez, Giolito in some type of order. Your bullpen is Miller, Adam, Morahone, Marinaccio, Estrada, Peralta, Matsui. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That would be your That would be your pitching staff. And at that point, you would have Morgan, Hart, and Rodriguez in AAA. Waldron would, if he made it through waivers, would be in AAA. If he's not, then he's not going to be on the team. And then you got to wait see if Joe Musgrove comes back. If and when he comes back,
starts again,
and then it starts over again unless somebody else gets hurt, or they put someone in the 60 IL or whatever it may be.
And also with this conversation, you could also mold that back into a 5-man rotation if you want to put a guy like Walker Buehler as your long reliever, and then just have Marinaccio go as one of the middle guys, one of the lower leverage middle guys.
Right. I find the Yuki Matsui situation to be the biggest problem. They kind of need him to be good.
Go Aztecs, why don't they just follow the Dodgers route of phantom IL stints, just give guys a rest? And because
they could theoretically do that too.
They could, but Major League Baseball does tend to clamp down on that. If you do it too often, there have been teams that have gotten in trouble for using the IL inappropriately. So that's also, you're playing a game against Major League Baseball at that point, if you wanted to try to go down that route.
Yeah, I just like, I feel, I first of all, like we've said before, I feel these situations play themselves out. It's not going to be as, I mean, we already thought there was going to be major decisions happening now before they added Lucas Giolito, and Nick Pivetta got hurt. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, they kicked the can down the road again. They did it in spring. They've done it already now. They might have to they might do it again in the near future, but these are all good problems to have. The reason why this is difficult is because Buehler and Marquez have been pitching well. And Bradley Rodriguez has been legit. That's what makes this decision difficult, because a lot of what we would say, like, these are the other factors when it comes to filling out the roster. Now, if it was just based on who the best 7 pitchers were, or 8 pitchers in the bullpen, and you didn't care about money and all that and all the other deciding factors, then yeah, you would Peralta and Matsui would be off this team like that. They'd keep the young guys and they'd be on their way. But that's not the case.
Doc in the chat, we'll see Giolito before Canning. Canning also has options remaining. No, he does not. Griffin Canning is at 6 years of service time. His options are gone. And he has to come up to the roster off of his rehab assignment on the 4th, by the 4th.
Yeah, he does not have any options. So you cannot do that. I would imagine that Morgan and Rodriguez, who have been great. Now, Morgan a little shaky in his last start, but they've been great since they got pulled up last year. They're probably going to go down, and then they'll be the first ones up when guys get hurt at this point. I do think Bradley Rodriguez has made it a more difficult conversation, though, for the Padres because of how well he's pitched. These are all good problems to have. It's only 23 games into the season, and so again, a lot of this will start to factor itself. It will start to play itself out. But it's an interesting conversation and good problems to have. When we come back, big event coming to San Diego as they honor the late, great Bill Walton. Mark Neville, who is a part of bringing this event here to San Diego and starting it, will join us next as the CEO of Sports San Diego to start the noon lunchtime hour. Braden Surprenant Show, settings over on Sports Station 97 through the Fan.
San Diego, it's time to fire it up. From the beaches to the ballparks, from the Gaslamp to North County, no one knows America's finest city like he does.
You can't just punt on a Manny Machado prime use.
He's a fourth-generation San Diegan, born and raised in the heart of this community. Passionate, opinionated, and always bringing you the real talk on your teams, your city, and everything in between.
Braden totally knows his stuff. He's ready for the next step. That guy is good.
Live and local, it's the Braden Surprenant Show.
But I think Braden's one of the up-and-coming young stars in the media game in San Diego.
Now, here's your host, Braden Surprenant.
New Lunchtime Hour on the Fan is brought to you by the Craft Taco. Bold flavors, 2 locations, Sorrento Valley and inside Balboa Park's Natural History Museum.
I'm ready for the tacos. Where are the damn tacos at?
Where are the tacos at? Tacos. I need tacos. I always need tacos. Who doesn't need tacos? Everybody needs tacos. We're broadcasting live from the Bill House Studios. We know how. We've been talking about the Lucas Giolito signing for most of the show, the first 2 hours of the show. We'll talk more Padres baseball in just a second. But we are proud to have our next guest on, and he joins us on the SDCCU fan hotline. It's not Big Bang Banking. It's better for an announcement about a new event coming to San Diego. He is from Sports San Diego, the CEO of Sports San Diego, part of an organization that has brought so many great sporting events here to San Diego to drive tourism to our wonderful city, to drive up the economy here in our own town, and to give us, as well as people outside, an opportunity to come to San Diego, but us to see some pretty incredible events. And that continues with another event being announced earlier this morning. His name is Mark Neville. He joins me on the Braden Surprenant Show, San Diego's number 1 sports station, 97 through the Fan. Mark, exciting news today. We're glad to have you on.
Yeah, I want a taco.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, you know what? Since it is the new lunchtime hour, Mark, I have to know, what is the Mark Neville special at any taco place when you get tacos?
I live in La Mesa, and there's a place called La Esquina, and it is the best I have had in San Diego. If you want a carne asada burrito, La Esquina in La Mesa. Nice.
Let's go to a carne asada burrito for Mark Neville. You know what? And Mark, I'm sure he tells everybody that comes to town about all the great Mexican food places that we have. We're going to be welcoming a new team to town, but also kind of a fun event too, where you get to incorporate some of the local colleges. And I know that's always been some, complaints from certain people about the local schools being involved in some of your events. You do drive tourism, but what can you tell us about this new basketball classic that's coming to San Diego?
Yeah, thanks, Braden. So yeah, we are in the business of creating tourism demand by bringing events to San Diego, like NASCAR, for example, and the Man United matches that we've had, the New Zealand All Blacks, and then we also do it by producing our own events like the Trust and Will Holiday Bowl and the Rady Children's Invitational and California State Games. But we also want to galvanize the community and get the community behind and unite the community around sports. I mean, sports has an incredible power of uniting community. And in addition to uniting community, and with this event, I think we're going to check that box easily, but we also want to elevate and lift the local college basketball programs, both on the men's and women's side. So we had 3 Division I programs here in San Diego, and we want to help them, and we want to get the community behind them under one roof for a night in November. And then the other part, and maybe most importantly, we want to celebrate and honor a great San Diegan, not just for his basketball prowess, which was exceptional, pretty amazing, but also for the legacy that he's left here in San Diego, everything that he's done for San Diego and continues to do after his passing here in town, and that's Bill Walton. And so on November 7th, very proud to announce this morning, we did it out at Helix High School, which is Bill's alma mater. We have the National University Bill Walton Classic. This event, I can tell you, is going to be around a long time. And in the 35 years I've been with this organization, I'm not sure that there's going to be a more fun event to get behind, because we are going all in on the Bill Walton. Whether it's, you're going to see a lot of tie-dye on November 7th at Pechanga Arena. You're going to hear a lot of Grateful Dead music. You're probably going to see a lot of lava lamps lighting up the concourse area. The court will have tie-dye on it, all that stuff. And so the first game, it's going to be a doubleheader this year. Again, Saturday, November 7th, first Saturday of the basketball season. The first game will be a women's game, and it's going to feature the University of San Diego Toreros against the UC San Diego Tritons. And then the second game will be a men's game, and it's going to feature San Diego State against a team that we're going to be announcing soon. And this event is going to be one that nobody wants to miss. I encourage, the tickets are going to go on sale Friday at 10 a.m. Go to BillWaltonClassic.com. It's a very cool looking website. And if you want to get the notification, you can sign up so that you're first to know when those go on sale. And we're doing a bunch of pre-sale stuff right now. So this event, it is going to be a night under one roof, getting all of the San Diego community in there to support our Division I basketball programs and to unite the community. And then most of all, to celebrate the life of Bill Walton.
That's a great fun event. Love the fact that you guys announced it at Helix today. That's awesome. Also playing in it at the Pechanga Arena. I mean, it wasn't called that back then, but a place where Bill Walton played for the San Diego Clippers back in the day. So a lot of great ties. I know you're going to have a lot more details about this moving forward, but what went into the process of including, obviously local teams. I know you guys are big on getting outside teams here because it's all for, travel and driving tourism. It's a big reason for a lot of these events. And, I know a lot of local people go like, why don't you throw in the local schools? What was the driving force for making an event that has some local schools here?
Yeah, and so and I think this event is going to support the Rady Children's Invitational that we're doing 2 weeks later with those 4 teams that are coming from out of town: Texas, UCLA, Georgetown, and St. Mary's. I think it supports this event really well. And when I first started with the organization back in 1991, there was an annual event called the San Diego Collegiate Basketball Championships, and it always featured USD against San Diego State, and it was at the old sports arena. And then there would be an undercard, if you will. It was like it'd be the Navy versus the Marines or something like that. And it was a big night of basketball in San Diego. And then it kind of faded away. And we saw this as an opportunity to bring that back and maybe even step it up a notch. We got 3 Division I programs. It is really difficult for these guys to be successful nowadays in the era of NIL. They do a great job of it. But this is a way that we're going to be able to lift them up. Let's get the whole community behind our 3 Division I basketball programs. And then to tie Bill Walton's name to it, and as part of our announcement this morning was also the unveiling of a new foundation called the Bill Walton Foundation. John Sarkeesian and Bob Reef were in attendance, and they were the ones that made that announcement. And there's no more appropriate way to honor Bill Walton than with a basketball event at Pechanga Arena to help elevate and lift our local basketball programs. And then we just started going on a heater in terms of like what we can do with this event. And this is going to be perhaps certainly one of the most special sports events that's going to take place in San Diego this year. No doubt about it. And this thing will happen every year. We will bring it back every single year. And I'm sure it'll expand so that we have more than even just 2 games. But right now we're getting it started. Got the women's game first, followed by the men's game. And it is going to be a celebration of basketball, a celebration of community, and a celebration of Bill Walton.
That's pretty cool. It's a pretty awesome event. Well, I do want to ask about some of the other upcoming events for you guys as well. I know you guys are busy throughout the entire year. Most of the time people think about the, obviously the Holiday Bowl, and now with the Rady Children's Basketball Invitational and everything like that. But I do want I'm curious. I don't know if you can answer this or not as we talk with Mark Neville, who's the CEO of Sports San Diego. When it comes to the other D1 opponent for San Diego State, was that something that they already had scheduled that you had to work with? Are they relying on you to schedule that? Is it a lot of work with San Diego State? Like, how is that as part of it? There's a lot of work with Brian Dutcher in that particular sense, or is that just behind the curtain stuff?
So we are running point on securing that opponent, but we are working with San Diego State to make sure that it's the right opponent.
Cool stuff. All right, that's what I kind of thought. That's kind of for my own nerdy scheduling tick that I have. So I'm glad to get that information. You guys always have some great stuff that happens over the summer. You have some great stuff in the wintertime as well. I do want to talk about the Rady's Children's Invitational also, but what are the next couple of events coming up that people could be on the lookout for? That's not necessarily the big events that we see with big local with big colleges, but you guys do a lot at the youth level and some other things. What are the next couple of things on the schedule for Sports San Diego?
It's actually a really busy time right now, but we have our biggest fundraiser, the Sports San Diego Game Time Gala presented by National University. That takes place Friday night on the court at Lion Tree Arena of UC San Diego. Pretty spectacular event. Very much looking forward to that. You can find information at sportsandiego.org for that one. The USA Pickleball also is in town with their Golden Ticket event. We have their national championships here that we secure. They're going to be here around the Halloween time, early November, for their national championships. But they have a Golden Ticket event that's starting up in town at the Barnes Tennis Center. And then we also just announced about a week ago that we are co-promoting with SDFC and Snapdragon Stadium a double header of 4 teams that are participating in the World Cup, in the FIFA World Cup. June 6th, Australia against Switzerland. June 7th, Colombia versus Jordan. And so you can go to sportsandiego.org for that one. That is going to be great. You know, all the hype and everything is going to be building now for the FIFA World Cup coming up here in a couple months. And we're getting involved with it, and we'll be hosting 2 matches right here in San Diego, 4 teams that will be playing in the FIFA World Cup. That will be pretty spectacular. And then NASCAR is not too far away. You know, we're handling, in addition to helping to secure the event for San Diego, we're handling their guest services and volunteer services. And so we got hundreds and hundreds of volunteers already signed up who will be helping over the Father's Day weekend, Naval Air Station North Island for NASCAR San Diego weekend. And then we got Cal State games that are coming on the heels of that. So we're pretty busy right now. And but again, everything we do is to benefit San Diego. So all of this is everything that we do. We're a nonprofit, and we're focused on benefiting San Diego. And right now, I think San Diego can be pretty proud of our efforts right now.
And according to maybe some reports, I know you can't comment either way. It sounds like you might be working on some other stuff. You guys always have something up your sleeve, but busy times. I mean, I go through the whole list is crazy, and that's not even talking about the major events that you guys have already put on that are recurring, like the Rady's Children's Invitational, like the Trust and Will Holiday Bowl. Keeping it busy, driving people here to San Diego year-round. Great work that you guys do over there at Sports San Diego, and really appreciate you coming on today,
Braden,
Mark.
If I could say, Braden, real quickly, you know, it's like, and while it is for, you know, we're driving tourism demand, we're also, our whole organization, we're all San Diegans, and we're doing this for San Diego. And we want San Diego to join these things too. We want San Diegans to be at the bowl game. We want them to be at the Rady Children's Invitational. We want them to be at the Bill Walton Classic. We want them to be at all of these things. And so I really do encourage everyone to go to sportsandiego.org and you can find out everything that we're doing and how you can get involved.
Last thing with the event that we had you on for with the announcement today with the Bill Walton, now the Bill Walton Classic sponsored by National University. Real quick, last time, how can you get a pre-sale for tickets? How does that work? When does that start?
Go to billwaltonclassic.org. And the tickets to the general public will go on sale at 10 a.m. on Friday. You can go there now, though, and so you can sign up so that you get the alerts for it. And it's going to be a special night, truly a really special night in San Diego on November 7th.
Mark, we appreciate the time. Thanks again, as always. Continue the great work. I know you guys are not only doing the events that are already scheduled, but you guys always have a lot of events coming up on the horizon. So not only are you putting this stuff on now, but you're putting on a bunch of stuff in the future that you guys do a really good job keeping under wraps as well. So appreciate everything you do for the city of San Diego. It's hard to do, Mark, because you know why it's hard? Because you're passionate about it, you're excited about it, you want to tell people all the great things you're bringing to San Diego, and it's hard. It's hard to see. Your face is always beaming, so excited about some of these events. I don't know how you do it. I don't know how you keep so quiet.
I'm a pretty lucky guy. I got a fun job, that's for sure.
Thanks again for the great work for the city of San Diego. We appreciate it, Mark.
All right. Thanks, Braden.
Mark Neville, CEO of Sports San Diego, joining us on the SDCCU Fan Hotline. It's not Big Bank Banking. It's better. Ben Higgins talked about it. That's why I didn't want to. I don't like putting Mark on the spot, but he was like, they had the report about maybe the Poinsettia Bowl coming back, and Mark said, or Ben Higgins said that Mark said, I cannot confirm nor deny those conversations. They're always working on something else. I mean, when they talked about, when we had them on to talk about the NASCAR thing, and they've been working on that for like 3 years, 3 or 4 years. It took, and nobody heard anything until, we had the one guy call into the show. And then it was kind of like, talk around the garage is that they might be going to San Diego for something. A great job keeping things under wraps. I like this event. I think it's cool. I love the fact that the local teams are a part of it too. And it's a way for an organization that wants to get San Diegans to come out and watch, but also drive tourism, to reward the local schools and have an event for them on top of a big event that's coming up 2 weeks after it. So, and they're honoring one of the best San Diegans we have and we have had with Bill Walton, and going to honor him at Pechanga Arena. It's going to be fun. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, it's going to be great. I'd love to see what it's about and how it's going to go down.
I'm curious to see who that D1 team is. I thought Go Aztecs was onto something with UCLA, but UCLA's already playing the Radies tournament. Why would they go? I mean, it's not far for them. I guess they could do both, but probably be better to get somebody else. Hopefully it's a really good opponent for San Diego State. And you can play at Pechanga. That's going to be interesting. That's probably like the best way you could get somebody to come down and play San Diego State.
Probably, yeah.
Nobody wants to play him at Viejas. So we must bring Viejas to Pechanga. Get excited. When we come back, we're going to talk more about this Lucas Giolito signing. We're going to talk about the business side of things, of what this could mean. We're going to talk about Padres and Rockies. We haven't got to talk about last night's game too much. It wasn't a lot to talk about in compared to what the news was at 10 in the morning. But we will go back to Padres conversations when we come back on the Braden Surprenant Show. San Diego's number one sports station, 97 through the Fan. College football might be starting earlier, and it's about a lot more than just the calendar. The NCAA is proposing a new schedule that would kick off the season before Labor Day starting in 2027. But here's the key change. Teams would get 2 bye weeks instead of just 1. Coaches are calling this a player safety win, saying the current schedule makes it too much of a physical and mental toll. And that part is true, but let's be real here. This also opens the door for something bigger, something that they actually want, and that's more flexibility in the schedule to make more room for the college football playoff and expansion. More games, more TV windows, more money. So the question isn't just about when the season starts. It's about where college football is headed. Is this about protecting players or building a bigger business? College football could be heading for a pretty significant change, and it might start as soon as 2027. The NCAA Football Oversight Committee is recommending a shift in the official start of the season, moving kickoff to before Labor Day weekend. Under this proposal, the season would begin on Thursday of what we currently call Week 0, Frank.
Yeah, now at first glance, this might not seem like a huge deal, but the structure behind it is where things get interesting. Teams would still play a 12-game regular season, but instead of cramming that into a tighter window, they would have 14 weeks to do it. That means 2 bye weeks instead of 1, which is something coaches have been pushing for. Clark Leah for Vanderbilt's head coach is a member of the committee. It was pretty clear about why this matters. He called it the current setup a health and safety issue. pointing out the physical, mental, and emotional toll on players when there isn't enough recovery time, especially with roster limits and tougher conference schedules.
So from a player standpoint, this looks like a clear win, but there's another layer to this. By starting the season earlier and building in more flexibility, the NCAA is also creating space for potential changes to the postseason, specifically the college football playoff. Right now, the playoff sits at 12 teams, but expansion is already being discussed. And if that happens, you're going to need more room on the calendar, obviously. This proposal does help solve that. It also keeps some traditions intact. Conference championship weekend stays untouched, and the Army-Navy game would still have its own standalone spotlight. Another notable piece here, the NCAA wants to eliminate special waivers that allow teams to start even earlier than the official date. We've seen more of those in recent years with games being played in late August, even internationally. This move would standardize the schedule and bring some structure back. For this to become official, it still needs approval from the Division I Council, which is expected to review it in June. Then this, of course, is for the next season in 2027. I'm not against this. I don't mind it. I think you got to redo the schedule because I also think you need to be done as quickly as possible where you're not having these playoff games go deep into January. Get this thing done in one semester so you can get everybody on the same page so the transfer portal doesn't open until after the conclusion of the college football national championship. If it was up to me, I would have the national championship every year at the Rose Bowl. And if that's not the case, I would have it end on January 1st every single year. Let's get this calendar moved up. I think they need to take it a step further. I mean, the conference championship games are utterly ridiculous at this point as well. I don't even think they're really the big money grab for a lot of these conferences anymore, because for all the people that spend money on watching their team play on the road, a lot of the teams that are playing in these conference championship games are already going to be in the playoff. And so why would I spend money to watch a championship game that doesn't matter when I know I'm going to have to save money to watch my team play in the college football playoff?
Yeah, and also to that, I mean, it makes sense in a situation like this, the Sun Belt, where they have conferences, where you have the East and the West Conference. Winner of each one takes on each other in the conference championship. They're the only conference that does that. So, I mean, you already have a conference winner. It's just playing the top two teams in the conference. So, yeah, I can see that game possibly being phased out. As far as moving the schedule up, again, I'm not opposed to it either. If you're going to, what I think this really sets up the expansion of the college football playoff, which is going to be coming further down the line. I think it's going to end around the same time, but with room for the expanded college football playoff. You're probably going to add more bowl games in that as well, especially with rumors that have been going around here over the course of the weekend. So, yeah, I think this was a move that was going to happen, and I think should have no problem going through the rules committee.
The more the NCAA or whoever wants to run college athletics and college football centralizes all the rules so the conferences don't have all different rules and making this chaos, the more centralization that they can do, whether it be scheduling, playoff, how many teams, this is all stuff that needs to be in place to make this a better game. And in my opinion, I think this is a step in the right direction. They're not going to be able to flip it overnight, but I like the direction they are going in with college football right now of adjusting the schedule, trying to change things, making sure the portal. I mean, if they're going to be a professional league, it's time to start putting in rules like a professional league. And I think this is a step in that direction. For KZ, I'm Braden Surprenant. Thanks again to Mark Neville joining us on the SDCCU fan hotline. It's not Big Bank Banking. It's better. Didn't get to the sports thread today. That's fine. We're talking Padres baseball today. Today's been we haven't touched most of the stuff that's been on our rundown today. Like at all.
Less work for me tomorrow. Oh, wait, no. I don't have to do much work tomorrow anyway.
We have an hour show tomorrow.
Yeah, we do. We're getting preempted by the Padres on tomorrow, and then we're doing a best of on Friday.
On Friday.
Is why I got caught with my pants down earlier.
Nice. I'm sorry. Are you speaking to me?
I'm sorry. Wait, hold on.
Are you raising your voice at me?
That's what you should have played when you heard me just sitting there waiting.
Yeah, silence. I'm like, oh, he called for something. No.
Are you raising your voice at me? The funniest stuff ever, dude. I love it. So great. All right. Let's dive into more about the Lucas Giolito thing. I do want, first of all, I do want to mention this. Maury Brown, who is a senior contributor to Forbes, put this out. I think this is interesting. Last Thursday, Seattle Mariners at San Diego Padres game was the most watched MLB Network showcase out-of-market telecast since August of 2019 was Yankees Red Sox, averaging 460,000 viewers. The game also ranked as the most watched Mariners game in the 18-year history of MLB Network. That's crazy.
Is that good?
Is that good? Is that good for the game? As we sit neutrally in the middle here of this next CBA, Frank, chalk one up for the players. I'd bank that one. The sport. Oh, you mean the sport where the small market teams are now outdrawn everybody? That's pretty insane. First comment, Mason Miller experience. Possibly. I can't even remember. What was Thursday's game? We were at that game.
Yeah, we were.
We were at that game.
Yeah, that was the...
Bueller pitched that game. He was hitting like 96.
Yep, that was the biggest fan game.
The biggest fan game. That's pretty good. That's awesome to hear from as a Padres fan. It's like, and they're playing the Mariners too, like late at night. Like people are just tuned into it. It's great for baseball. It's great that the lower level, the smaller market teams are putting together that stuff. And Matty V broadcasting a Padres game. Love Matty V. Love Matty V. All right, let's get to some other angles to look at this particular deal for the Lucas Giolito signing. Do you find it? I find it interesting for the Padres, by the way, that you get the announcement. The announcement of the ownership group was Friday, correct? It's only been like 5 days, Friday, 6 days, whatever it may be. I don't want to do the math. And now all of a sudden, Lucas Giolito's a Padre. Like I felt like for a decent amount of time, it was who is the clearing pattern for here? Like who do they got to get it cleared by to make any type of move? Is this something that has now led to?
I throw that down as circumstantial. I'm not reading too much into that. As far as it's a sign that Feliciano's already running things. It's to me.
No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying like now that you know who's in charge, like who's going to be the next ownership. I mean, signing off on stuff. I mean, you can't just be like running up expenses if you don't even know who's going to buy the team. Like during this bidding process, I think they were going to sign Giolito anyway.
Yeah.
But I think the fact that it happened so quickly after they have announced like the new ownership group plays into the like, look, they actually know who they got to like get it approved by, moving up the leaderboard, moving up the ladder. We're going to talk more about the details of the new ownership group when we come back because there is some new members to this, and Dennis Lin breaks it down, and we'll talk about that when we come back. Some local ties to this ownership group as well. How does it break down of who owns what percentages and all that stuff? We'll get to the report from Dennis Lin when we come back on the Braden Surprenant Show. San Diego's number sports station, 97 through the Fan. University of San Diego Athletics delivered one of the most chaotic weeks of the season, and it all came down to resilience and late-game drama. Baseball started with a 13-0 run rule loss at Cal State Fullerton, but then flipped the script in conference play after dropping two tight games to Seattle University. The Toreros turned Sunday into absolute chaos. Down to their final strike, Jayden Greer drew a walk. The lineup flipped, and Andrew Ghana delivered a walk-off single in a 13-12 Fowler Park thriller. Little Fowler magic out there at the University of San Diego. Diego Gonzalez also made history as the first Torero in 2026 with a multi-homer game. Softball also found drama of its own, going to extra innings before Charlie Johnson and Caitlin Winaya powered a 4-3 walk-off win over Hawaii. For both programs, the message is the same. San Diego never stops playing. This week in San Diego Athletics was all about volatility, late-game drama, and a clear theme emerging across both baseball and softball. This is a program that competes until the very last out. for baseball. The week started off with a not that great of a start. Got a reality check. Midweek trip to Cal State Fullerton ended in a 13-0 run rule loss, Frank.
Yeah, where the Toreros managed just one hit from Jaden Greer, who was it was just one of those games where nothing ever clicked offensively, and Fullerton controlled it from start to finish. But once West Coast Conference play resumed, the tone completely shifted against Seattle U. USD showed flashes of offensive life, but could not fully close the gap in back-to-back games, falling 7-4 on Friday and then 11-6 on Saturday. But still, there were signs of momentum, and Andrew Ghana stayed locked in at the plate. Jaden Greer continued to grind out at bats, and Logan Piper gave the bullpen a strong, steady outing that helped stabilize things. And then Sunday happened.
Yeah, again, I mean, they lost the first two games, and again, the pitching has been the biggest problem for San Diego all season long. And this was a chaotic game on Sunday. I mean, they started the game. They put up 5 runs in the first inning. It was the first time they'd done that in a long time at Fowler Park. First time they put up 5 runs in the first inning since their game against Cal earlier on in the season. And the offense was really clicking. But again, the bullpen gave it up late. They go into the last inning down 12-10. And they got, leadoff man gets out. Second guy up was Diego Gonzalez. He hit a solo shot to right field, his second homer of the day, which was great to see. That was his 5th home run as a freshman this season. And it was a no-doubter. It was close to the line, but it stayed fair. It gave San Diego some more life. They were down 1. Next batter pops up. They're down to their final out. Jaden Greer comes in. They're down to their final strike, and he sees 13 pitches and works a walk. So right now you have a freshman that hit a home run in the last inning and a freshman that works a 13-pitch walk to get the tying run on base. Couple of hits at the top of the order, get the tying run in, and then it was Andrew Ghana, who has been the best hitter for the Toreros since March 1st, getting the walk-off winner. They really needed that, especially going into a game on Tuesday against UCSD.
Yeah, absolutely. Fantastic. It wasn't clean. It wasn't simple, but it was exactly the kind of game that can define a locker room even later on in the season as we are.
Let's get to softball. They had a week that showed both promise and frustration. They battled Cal State Fullerton in midweek action, but fell 10-3 despite a short-lived rally sparked by Kaylee O and Mallory Axline. The offense showed it can string together hits, but a big Titans 4th inning ultimately decided it for Fullerton over San Diego. Against UCSD, it was another competitive effort, but another tough result in the 7-3 loss. Taylor Johnson and O again provide offensive sparks, but a 4-run inning by UCSD created separation. The highlight of the week came Thursday night against Hawaii. That game went all the way to the 9th inning, tied at 3, before Charlie Johnson delivered a complete game performance, and Caitlin Wanaya drove in the walk-off run in a 4-3 victory. It was the kind of game that showcased toughness, pitching endurance, and timely execution under pressure.
Yeah, for baseball, the identity right now is inconsistency, but it's also undeniable fight. They can get run ruled in one day and then win a 13-12 thriller the next. The ceiling is clearly there, especially with Ghana, Gonzalez, and the top of the order producing in key moments. For softball, the story is consistency within games, but inconsistency across the weekends. When they execute late, they could beat anyone, as shown in the Hawaii walk-off, but sustain conference success. Still their next step right now.
It's being able to be consistent as the biggest driving force for both USD baseball and softball this spring. Still a lot of baseball and softball left, but running out of time to make a push for both squads. We'll keep you updated on that throughout the weeks. 12:35 on a Wednesday here in America's finest city. A lot of big news with the Padres. They signed Lucas Giolito today. He will be sent to Single A Lake Elsinore to get geared up for the season. And within 25 days of today or whatever it may be, he has to be added to the big league club.
Yeah, it's 25 days from today. Griffin Canning and Yuki Matsui, for that matter, are both coming up on their rehab time of 30 days. And I think someone else, Sungmoon Song, is coming up on his rehab time, which is 20. Or is that already passed? That's either coming up or is just recently passed.
Did you ask about Sungmoon Song?
Yeah.
Yeah, they already made the roster move.
Yeah, that's right. Yes, that is just recently passed. Yes.
Yeah, so they optioned him to AAA. All right. We got some information on this particular in this particular situation with the ownership group. Dennis Lin had an article about it in The Athletic. So Padres, we got the report. The Padres sold for $3.9 billion. MLB record, surpasses Steve Cohen's $2.42 billion purchase of the New York Mets back in 2020. Now, this is what needs to be stated, I think, for a lot of people on this deal is this is enterprise value, not what the lead buyers are personally paying. So people saw that Jose Feliciano was like worth $3 billion or 3 point whatever. Just like, remember Joe Lacob, but we were like, oh, he's worth $3 billion. How is he going to afford this team? Jose E. Feliciano and Kwanzaa Jones are expected to buy 30 to 40% of the team, which is an estimated investment $1.4 billion. So I think for a lot of people trying to figure out the math, it makes a little bit more sense in that particular stake. Despite minority stake, right? Because they don't have 50% of the team, they will control the team. And the key ownership truth is, and there's a direct quote in the article, you don't have to own 50% to control the team, said one person with experience in MLB ownership. You just have to have the biggest piece. And so Jose Feliciano and Kwanzaa Jones have the biggest piece. They're going to have 30 to 40%. Again, it's being reported like that. So their estimated investment is $1.4 billion for the team. So I find that to be interesting. Despite the minority stake, of course, they're going to control the team. Largest share equals control, right? So this is less about a full sale and more about the control shifting to a new power group at a premium valuation. Now, the real story that came out yesterday is the ownership structure. So the Padres don't have a single owner model like some teams do. A lot of teams are now going with this group approach. Instead, modern ownership group build out. So multiple investors are expected to join. Potential names involved, according to Dennis Lin, Saquon Band of the Kumeyaay Nation, Drew Brees, and Michael Pearsall, who is a Viore investor. Joe Kudla, who they talked about, but the guy that, the CEO of Viore, who went to University of San Diego, was kind of rumored, but he is not part of this deal. So this is a very diverse, high-powered, multi-industry ownership group for the Padres. Now, he does lay in the fact, like some of the casino angle with Saquon. Now it is Saquon. It's the tribe that is bought a percentage. And in there, like, they join with a less than 5% stake. Major League Baseball rules limit sportsbook operations tied to casinos. I don't know if they have any of that. It would require a third-party sportsbook handling comparable situations. Steve Cohen navigating casino development, which he has. Detroit Tigers ownership with casino ties. So that's a different level to this, but something that we're not going to worry about too much as part of the article. The other thing, too, that was interesting was Seidler family expected to retain a minority stake. So the current structure is Peter Seidler's trust approximately owns 24% of the team, and the control is currently held by John Seidler. Obviously, there's been some legal disputes involving Shield Seidler that has been recently resolved, with the details being private. So it's not like they're not completely gone. I mean, they're going to be part of some of the minority group with this ownership group. But the final bidders of this team were everybody that was listed: Dan Friedkin, Tom Gores, Joe Lacob. The Feliciano and Jones group ended up winning out the conversation. And the Padres are viewed as a premium global sports asset with the amount of money they spent for. So what happens next? This requires a 75% approval from MLB owners, a possible vote where the June owners meetings or earlier via remote, and an official announcement is expected soon. So very interesting, some of the information that came out in this article about other investors that are joining this group. So you look at it again, here's the direct quote, but it said some members and associates of the Seidler family will remain as minority owners of the franchise, and Feliciano's private equity firm, Clearlake Capital, is not expected to be part of the deal. Padres declined to comment in the article by The Athletic, and The Athletic had reached out to Sequan Tribal Chairman Cody Martinez, a representative for Breeze and BDT and MSD Partners, the investment bank the Padres hired to oversee the sales process, for comment, and will update this story if they respond. So we'll keep you updated on that. The Athletic reported in February that Viore founder Joe Kudla and Breeze had expressed interest in joining a bid to purchase the Padres. Kudla, according to a person with knowledge of the situation, is no longer involved. The Sequan band helps lead the ownership group of San Diego FC, with Padres third baseman Manny Machado among the minority owners of the MLS Soccer Club. They did go into the details about like the situation with the casino aspect of things, and it sounds like there's some things, there's some other entities involved, but it's a little bit more clear on the structure of the price of the $3.9 billion and who's in control now, and who still has minority stake in the team and what the interests are. I think that's kind of, Frank, I think that's kind of like the best happy medium you could get if as a Padres fan, is you got somebody that came in that has a lot of money, that is linked to, that owns a private equity firm that has a lot of money as well, even though this is not going to be an asset of Clearlake Capital. I mean, obviously he does have money that he can spend through that. They have 40% of the 30 to 40% of the team. Some of the Seidler family group and members are going to be still minority owners of this team. And who knows who those people are at this point, but you know what? You got a little bit of mix of both. And when they talked about like picking an ownership group that has Peter Seidler's vision, it's a lot easier to have that when you have some of the members and associates still owning the team. So I think it's an interesting group. And to me, Frank, it makes a lot more sense after Dennis Lin kind of laid things out. The other thing, too, I saw something in this article near the bottom of the article. I don't know if it was the Padres and Diamondbacks are going to play a 2-game series this weekend at Mexico City's Estadio Alfredo Harp Helú, which is a ballpark named after a Padres minority owner who also owns the Diablos Rojos de Mexico baseball club. Harp Helú's stake in the Padres is believed to be upwards of 15%, but it is unclear whether the Mexican businessman will sell his share in the MLB club. So that's another interesting angle, because he's been part of the ownership group for many years now, and who knows if he sold some of his ownership stakes. So I think it's cool that Drew Brees is involved in some small capacity. I think it's cool that Sequan is involved. I think it's cool that they have some local aspects to this ownership group. And I like the everything that's kind of being set up by it. And I think it gives them opportunity to spend money and make their own splash when they take over.
Yeah, it's been very fun to see how this has transpired and seeing all of the names that are coming up. Clearly Capital's not going to be part of this. It's just Feliciano and his wife. And now you're starting to see the other group of investors. Remember, we were talking about the CEO of Viore and Drew Brees possibly putting in a bid. Well, they clearly have latched on to this, reportedly at least, have latched on to this bid here with Feliciano. So there, if you were interested about the, I forget his name, with the Pistons.
Tom Gores.
Yeah, Tom Gores. If you were interested in that Chargers link, you still have that Chargers link with Drew Brees potentially being a part of this ownership group. So there's still plenty to be excited about as far as these new owners go. And you're right. Again, as you mentioned, I think that's very important to note. Just because you hear that Feliciano has a 40% stake in this team doesn't mean that he's not the shot caller. You just have to have the biggest piece. It's not a you're under 50%, you own less, so you're not making the calls. You have to just have the biggest piece. And from what we're understanding, even at 40%, Feliciano will still have the biggest piece of this team.
Right. And that was the quote that was in this article, and it makes the most sense, was when you look at ownership groups specifically, you don't need to own 50%, 51%, because it's not like just two people. Like, you just have to have the biggest pie, biggest slice of the pie, and you get to run things and be the chairman, everything like that. They always pick, sometimes they pick a chairman too, a couple of times. But that being said, when you look at the way this is structured, it makes a lot of sense now that Feliciano and his wife, Kwanzaa Jones, are buying the team with his own stuff. With their own, it's different from Clear Lake Capital. This is a way that they could do it. But the other thing too, it's like they can pull. They have money to pull that they can throw into the pot. And here's the other thing too with this. Now, when they decide to add more money to the team, this is what happened with the other ownership group. What happens is, they do a capital call, and with most businesses, when they want to invest money into organizations, and again, this is a dumbed down version of this. Business people probably are definitely going to know a lot more than anything else. But if the ownership group's going to spend money on the team, they usually do somewhat of a capital call in which they ask everybody to kind of up some money based on maybe the percentage of how much they owe or how much they own for a grand total that they're trying to find, so they can pump that into the organization. So with Jose Feliciano not owning the entire team, obviously he's got to get, they got to get approval from certain things. And obviously some guys, some people, part of the group have a little bit more stake than others. So, and everybody's structure different, but I look at this as the best of both worlds of what you could possibly get, because I think a lot of people were worried about, the Seidler family is just going to sell to the highest bidder and they're not going to care about anything but the money, and they're going to tear everything down. It's just all the negative thoughts. But now you have, how are they going to enforce the, Peter Seidler's legacy? Well, there's going to be people that are part of there. And this is the direct quote again, too. So it said that, and I got to go find it again in the article, but some members and associates of the Seidler family will remain as minority owners of the franchise, the sources said, and Feliciano's private equity firm, Clear Lake Capital, is not expected to be part of the deal. That could be anybody part of their ownership group. That could be anybody part of the previous ownership group. It's a pretty vague sentence by Dennis Lin. Dennis Lin is savvy about how he writes and what he puts into articles. That could be anybody. That could be anybody part of their previous ownership group. That could actually be members of the family. I mean, that could be a group. That could be a lot of different areas. But the main important thing is these are people that were with Peter Seidler in the previous ownership group. That's going to be the best way to have best of both worlds of, we want an ownership group that's going to live out and abide by, Peter's legacy he had for this team and his vision for this team. You get that, and you get a new owner that has a ton of money and could potentially spend a lot of money. And I think that's honestly the best of both worlds when it comes to this ownership sale.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I've always felt that this sale was the best thing that could have happened to the team. It's a lot better to go with something new and something different instead of having someone that just doesn't want it to begin with. So I'm very excited about the future of this team. And I really, again, nor should many Padre fans, as long as you know who the head of the table is, that's the most important thing. As long as there's one guy at the head of the table that's making all the final decisions, you do not want, for wrestling fans out there, you don't want a WCW decision by committee. You want one guy at the head of the table making all the decisions. And as long as you know who that is, I'm not concerned at all about the ownership group and how it breaks down. As long as I know that Feliciano is the guy or whoever is the guy making the decisions, that's all anyone really should care about.
And the other thing too is there's not going to be a bunch of turnover, or at least with like some of the the front office people that have ownership stakes. I mean, you have AJ Preller and Eric Grupner that are under contract for a couple of years, right? Under contract. So from the ballpark side of things, from the team side of things, from all of that stuff, it's not going to get changed in the middle of the season. And it's not going to get changed. You have people that are in place that know how to work here in San Diego. They know what works here in San Diego. They know what works for the Padres. And you're going to have some owners that don't have to change too much. It's not going to be like this move out and move in the middle of the season. There's going to be some more continuity than even we originally thought, which I also think is good news for the San Diego Padres. So now it's, the next step, as I mentioned before, is they got to get 75% approval from MLB owners, which I would imagine will be the case, because I don't think a lot of, there's not going to be too many people that are changing hands on this ownership group compared to what was in the last ownership group. There's going to be some, but not all. And they could potentially vote on this in June at the owners' meetings or earlier via remote if they really want to expedite this process. But if they get that stuff done by June, it's going to be like, I'm going to tell you right now, that's going to be the fastest sell of a team that I've ever seen. Yeah. I'm sure there's been faster. I'm sure somebody in the chat can tell me, well, back in 1990, what? Okay.
Modern era
that I have seen. I've been on this planet for 31 years. That's about it. And the ones that I've seen that I've paid attention to at this point, this has happened a lot faster than I thought it would. But at the same time, I mean, there's a reason why the Padres went for $3.9 billion. There's a reason why people wanted to get this deal done. I mean, this team was purchased in 2012 for $800 million. And it has had massive value growth driven by star power, Machado, Tatis, Bogarts, Jackson Merrill, if you want to throw him in there. You guys like Darvish. I know he's on the injured list, but a restricted list now. He's another guy, but they've had stars on their team. They've been competitive. They've made the playoffs in 3 of the last 4 seasons. The growth of the market has been great for sports fans in San Diego. They're the only show in town. They don't have to compete with a lot here in San Diego. People are bought in. People are all about the Padres. You see it everywhere in San Diego. They continue to develop Petco Park. I mean, Petco Park from when it opened to now is just insane difference. But even Petco Park from now to when the Seidler family took over is drastically better. And you can even say the last 3 years, the improvements that they have made to the ballpark, to a ballpark that continually wins America's #1 ballpark. Continually. So you mix all of that with MLB's overall rising franchise values, with the sport getting a resurgence, and there's no reason, there's no real shock why this team sold for as how much they did, and there's no reason for no shock of actually how fast they sold for. When there's places on the market that are great value, it might be listed for a little bit under the value that you might see. Like we talked with Briccaroli last week, they sell quickly. So it shouldn't be that big of a surprise to us, I guess, how quickly this sale was made. Now, they have to make it official. There's a lot of stuff that needs to happen. And when that happens, we'll bring it to you. But some interesting things from Dennis Lin yesterday on the new ownership group. When we come back, Bob Nightingale talked about the Padres. Craig Stammen was on the morning show. Preview of today's game.
Hey, it's Scravy, and if you've never heard of a Conscrabacy, then you need to tune into The Scravy Show. Weekdays from 6 to 7 p.m., I go down that rabbit hole and see what I can find behind it. It's Conscrabacy season on 97.3 The Fan.
Most financial advisors only manage your money. They refer you out for taxes. They refer you out for estate planning. They refer you out when things get complicated. Did they really vet that person, or did they meet once, exchange business cards, and call it a partnership? A referral isn't accountability. It's a handoff. When your investments, taxes, and estate plan are built separately, gaps happen, and those can cost money. At Trajan, we didn't build a referral network. We built a family office for all. Wealth, tax, estate. One team delivering coordinated planning, once reserved for the ultra-wealthy. If you want real coordination and not just introductions, call Trajan Wealth today. Call Trajan today at 619-901-0100. That's 619-901-0100.
Advisory services through Trajan Wealth, LLC, an SEC registered investment advisor. Other services through Trajan Estate and Trajan Tax. Additional disclosures at TrajanWealth.com.
The 12 o'clock lunch hour is brought to you by the Craft Taco. Whether you're craving gourmet tacos for lunch or a craft beer for happy hour, the Craft Taco is the answer. Open in Sereno Valley and at the Natural History Museum in Balboa Park.
Sometimes it's called a joke, a compliment, a hand that stays too long. If it's happening at work, you don't have to face it alone.
At San Diego Law Firm, we focus on sexual harassment cases. We're here to stand up for you. Contact us at sdlf.com. sdlf.com.
Master Spas of California's floor model sale. Massive savings on all remaining floor model and in-stock hot tubs and swim spas. Quantities extremely limited. Once they're gone, they're gone. If you've been dreaming about a new spa, now is the time to buy. Enjoy now and pay 0% interest for 18 months. These are the deepest discounts ever seen, saving you thousands. Master Spas of California's floor model sale. Everything must go. Visit our Escondido location, masterspas.com.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along, which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. It finds them for you. Its powerful technology identifies people with the right experience and actively invites them to apply to your job. You get qualified candidates fast. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. That's ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter.com/radio.
ZipRecruiter.
And Doug.
There's nowhere I wouldn't go to help someone customize and save on car insurance with Liberty Mutual, even if it means playing in a football game.
Boom! 42! You're going down, Doug!
Oh, yeah? Your price on car insurance when you customize and save is going down.
Hey!
Limu? What are you doing on their team? Only pay for what you need at libertymutual.com.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
Breaking news for your home. Wayday. Wayfair's big sale is almost here, and you can score the best deals in homes, like up to 80% off everything home. Yes, you heard that right. 80% off with free shipping on everything. Plus surprise flash deals all Wayday long. We're talking outdoor furniture and essentials, rugs, and more. All at Wayfair, and all up to 80% off during Wayday. Shop Wayfair's Wayday from April 25th through 27th.
Wayfair, every style, every home.
Padres, Rockies, today.
Manny charges, throw to first is in time.
Pre-game, 4:40. First pitch, 5:40. The Padres play here on 97.3 The Fan.
KWFN and KWFN HD1 San Diego.
Hi, this is Jake Cronenworth from the San Diego Padres.
Oh, what a play by Jake Cronenworth!
Padres play here on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
And Odyssey Sports Station.
Frank. Foul. Save us from the commercials. Oh, no. All right, I'm handing out fouls here. I'm handing out fouls. What's going on?
He draws the foul.
Again, working on.
Hang on, no, I don't want to hear your excuse. You get a foul.
No, I'll eat it. I don't care.
Yeah, I don't want to hear the excuse.
I'm
yet.
eating
You
it.
get a foul. Adam gets a foul too because I blame him for this. Adam had to come in and crush the Mets for 12-game loser Frank.
He draws the foul.
You know what? Frank's not losing those ball games, but if he's got to claim that he won 2 Super Bowls with the Giants, then he has lost 12 straight games with the Mets.
Yeah, no, I have.
Did you see the crash out? The slow crash out of Frank the Tank yesterday?
No.
Oh my God.
I haven't blocked.
I don't know. I didn't
care.
realize they do live streams of games, which I don't know how that works.
Yeah, they do.
They were live streaming the game,
They
and
just,
it was
just live stream themselves reacting to it. They don't.
but then they put the highlights on it for like a video later.
Yeah.
You watch him just like, even when they hit a home run, he's like, they're still gonna blow it.
Yeah.
It's about time.
No, he's
so
the
pessimistic.
worst fan. He is the worst fan, period. Every fan base has a Frank the Tank, and that's not a good thing.
No, you don't want to be that guy.
No, you do not want to be Frank the Tank.
So his crash out live was crazy. I think his post game crash outs are like, they're so fake. They're getting to a point where it's like, it's so fake. It's like
they are.
It's not. It's not that great anymore because here's why. This is the same thing with like, I'm going to compare it to play-by-play guys. When you like announce every play like it's the greatest play ever, it takes away from the big plays.
You lose the meaning.
And Frank the Tank does that for every loss. Every loss is like the worst loss on the planet. And then when you actually get a situation where you lose 12 straight games, it falls on deaf ears. Now, the live stuff, you actually get to see him react live to games. I think that's actually whatever, natural. I did find some enjoyment in that. I did.
No, I haven't blocked. I don't know. The only time I ever see anything of
it's
his
unfortunate
is
you
John
guys have
Boy
the same
actually
name and you both happen to be Mets fans.
It is. That is the worst part of it.
Correct.
I mean, I'm texting Sam yesterday. I'm like, this team is so bad. They are putrid. And I saw Ron Darling talk about it during the broadcast yesterday. Nolan McLean had a perfect game going into the 6th inning. And then he kind of tipped what pitch he was going to give to Byron Buxton, of all people, because he came up and in on Byron Buxton to where Buxton had to go diving out of the way. And then he said that he made eye contact with Buxton and gave it kind of like the my bad. And Ron Darling said, as a hitter, all that does is tell you the next pitch is outside.
I saw that
Sure enough, the next pitch is outside, and it's 3-2, New York. So McLean kind of made a rookie being the nice guy mistake, but the way they lost it in the late innings, it's inexcusable.
Start spreading news. I'm leaving today.
Now
they have now come to it. They've had a long enough losing streak where it's almost they can't come out of it.
They have had
early in the season as it is. Teams that usually lose this many games don't ever make the playoffs.
They have had a long enough losing streak. It's giving Jets fans hopes.
Oh no!
Because there's stuff going around on Twitter now. The last time the Mets lost 12 games in a row was 2002. The Jets won the AFC East. If you're doing so bad that you are giving Jets fans hope, you're doing something very, very wrong. Very, very wrong.
Yeah. Fireman Eddie's dusting off the fireman hat. He's getting ready for Jets camp, baby. He's getting ready for Jets camp, baby.
I mean, the only thing you can say is, if you are a Met fan, I've not been a fan of Carlos Mendoza from the start. He's got, Tommy Lugauer Sam just texted me now. The only thing you could say is if they keep losing, Mendoza's going to be gone sooner rather than later. I don't see how he made it back to New York employed, especially with a day off. The fact that
who are they going to put in charge? Like they're just going to put somebody in charge
at some point.
When does Carlos Beltran finally get an opportunity?
At some point, a head has to roll. A head has to roll here with the talent that you have on this team. If it's the Royals going on a 12-game losing streak at this point in the season, fine. You understand it. They're not good. You have so many people on this team making so much money, and you can't use the excuse of, well, it's only bad. It's only this bad because Juan Soto is on the IL. You won the first 3 games without him, and won it convincingly too. So it's not a we're missing our best player excuse. Why he pitched to Nico Horner in the 10th inning of that game when you have Michael Busch, who's batting $164 behind him, to put the double play in order with 1 out and a runner on third. No idea how that one passes the sniff test. So, I mean, that's the only good thing is if they keep losing, Mendoza's a day closer to being gone. And this is a stretch of games where they should be beating people. They should be beating people's brains in. And they're not. They look helpless. It's embarrassing.
You're like the coach from Letterkenny. It's like embarrassing.
Yeah.
It's embarrassing.
I would have that.
It is. You got to go kick a trash can or something.
I would have that.
Yeah, go kick the trash can. It's embarrassing.
There's stuff in the trash can. Otherwise, I would have made more of a spectacle.
Man, it's funny. I think it's funny. People get so upset. Padres station, we talk about the Padres. Relax. We let Frank rant for 7 minutes, okay? Just relax. Relax. Let's get to Randy Vásquez.
Go Aztecs assault by casings.
You know what? That is foul. You definitely get it. Yeah.
He draws the foul.
Bang. Charged by the trash can.
Get a booking.
Yeah. That's like your 3rd foul or whatever.
Frank's basically a foul out Friday today.
True. All right. Let's talk about Randy Vásquez from last night. Obviously, the overall stats were great. 7 innings, no runs, 3 hits, no walks, 5 strikeouts at Coors Field. That is not a joke. That alone tells you he controlled the entire game. But the most interesting part about Randy Vásquez, he didn't dominate with overpowering stuff. He dominated with execution and pitch mix. I have said, how many times have we said that? It's what he's doing. It's not like he's just got overpowering stuff. He just is learning. He knows how to pitch. Thank you, Yu Darvish. I mean, Yu has helped this guy out a lot. Thank you, Yu Darvish, for 2 things. One, Randy Vásquez and working with him and calling him and all that other stuff and getting him to this point where he's using the pitch mix like Yu has done for so many years. That's number 1. Number 2, have you noticed Randy Vásquez is wearing the brown jerseys twice on the road now? Who used to wear the brown jersey all the time, like the only pitcher?
I was going to say.
This team, by the way, I know this is like the rumor, and everybody knows that like the starting pitcher gets to pick the jersey. If that is true with the Padres, I think it is. Who knows? Randy Vásquez wears the brown, which is my favorite.
I was going to say,
Yu Darvish.
Who the heck is wearing the boron jersey?
Yu Darvish would wear the brown jersey almost every single time on the road. Randy Vásquez keeping that up. I love it. I appreciate that. All right. His best weapon has been his cutter. 26% whiff rate, 48% on the called strike whiff. That is elite from the cutter. He threw it 23 times last night, generated some pretty weak contact. 124 expected slug allowed. That cutter was his get-out pitch last night. Hitters weren't squaring it up, and they couldn't lay it off. They couldn't lay off of it either. His slider, legit swing and miss last night, 25% whiff rate. Used it more against right-handers than lefties, but he was using that for his punch-outs. Fastball was fine, nothing really special, 94.9 miles an hour, but only 3% whiff rate. Lower quality metrics overall. Wasn't blowing guys away with it. Fastball is like they don't play as well in Colorado anyway. But it set a lot of things up for some other pitches that he used. Now, the approach was pitch mix over stuff. And as a pitcher, he is becoming more and more like a pitcher and less like a thrower. Fastball, 34 to 43%. He mixed the cutter in around 27%. Slider was up to 25% against righties. He was starting to blend his pitches a little bit more, not relying on one dominant offering. And that's why you saw lefties seeing a balanced mix. And that's why righties got a lot more sliders, which was his put away pitch, leading to his 5 strikeouts. No walks. Location grade, C plus, not bad. Like, it wasn't pinpoint, but it was good enough because he avoided mistakes over the heart of the plate, and he stayed unpredictable, and he didn't allow any free passes. You can't stop a walk. You can't stop a home run. So when he missed, he didn't miss in too many bad of spots. We saw that with Marquez. When Marquez misses, the ball goes over the fence. We've seen it with Buehler. When he misses, he's putting a lot of runners on base. Randy Vásquez has been exceptional. So why this worked last night, his pitch mix, he didn't overpower his hitters, but he kept them guessing. Cutter jammed him. Cutter jammed and froze hitters. Slider got swings and misses. Fastball kept them honest. Didn't give up any free passes. So no, not a lot of damage last night. And what to watch for now moving forward for Randy Vásquez is his stuff grade is still pretty low this year. He gets a D for his stuff grade. Not a pure dominant profile. He still needs to use, be having his command. He still needs to continue his command. He does need to continue to be that smart pitcher on the hill to keep him guessing, and he does need some defensive support. I mean, he gives up a lot of contact, but the way that the Padres have been playing defensively, this is a great pitcher to have in this rotation. Everything that Ruben Niebla has put into Randy Vásquez, everything Yu Darvish has put into Randy Vásquez, everybody involved on the pitching, on the coaching side of things from the pitching staff, Randy Vásquez wanting to improve, putting in the work. He's seeing the fruits of his labor, and he's figuring out how to pitch, not just throw. Guy used to be a thrower. He's a pitcher now. That cutter slider combo is real for Randy Vásquez. And if he keeps commanding it like this, he's not just like filling innings, which what you were expecting him to do at the beginning of the season when he came in as number 4 starter. He's becoming a real piece of this rotation and a very valuable asset. Now, I do want to ask this question because before Adam Klug had to crush the Mets, which is funny, he did bring up a couple of interesting topping points that we just like talking sports. So when we're not talking sports with you on the air, off air, Frank and I are usually talking sports, and Adam loves talking sports, so he comes in and gives his opinion on stuff. But he led to an interesting conversation. Now, I can't believe this is true, but maybe it is. Do we trust Fangraphs? I trust Fangraphs. Do you trust Fangraphs?
Yeah.
Their roster research? I feel like it's probably correct.
I go to Spotrac because it's easier to for me it's easier to navigate. But
I like seeing the grid with everybody there and all that stuff. So I go to Fangraphs. According to Fangraphs, Randy Vásquez, which by the way, do you know how old Randy is?
28.
He's 27 and a half years old. Or correction. He will be 27 and a half years old by June. Take that. So this is his age 27 season. He is making $808,000 this year. Do you know when he becomes a free agent, according to Fangraphs roster research? 2031. You have Randy Vásquez for all of this year and then 4 additional years. Randy Vásquez is under contract longer than Mason Miller and Freddie Fermin are. Adam came in and he asked about like how well Randy Vásquez has been pitching. He didn't know about how long the Padres had control over Randy Vásquez. He asked the question, is he a $20 million a year pitcher? Do you give him a 3-year, $60 million deal?
Not right now.
That was assuming he was like done after next year, right? Like he had even like Gavin Sheets, right? He's a free agent in 2028. If that was the case. So at age 27, unless you want the guy until like so he becomes a free agent. So this is his age 27 season, 28, 29, 30, 31. He'll be a free agent at 32. Unless you want like his age 32 and age 33 seasons, which by the way, that doesn't mean you're not going to be a great pitcher, right? Nick Pivetta this year is 33. Joe Musgrove this year is 33. Lucas Giolito is 31 this year. Griffin Canning is 29. Walker Buehler is 31. Germán Marquez is 31. What do a lot of those guys have in common at age 31, 32, 33?
Cheap.
No.
Oh. Go ahead.
They've kind of had injuries.
Oh, yeah.
They're not what they used to be, right? A lot of them are getting paid a decent amount of money. Like they're trying to find themselves. These are guys that have had that were way better than Randy Vásquez, like when they were younger. Now, he's a little bit different of a pitcher, but I'm not saying your production goes that far down. Michael King's 30. Like he's already had some, like, right? So, but do you even like think about extending Randy Vásquez at all? Like, what would Randy Vásquez have to do for you to even give him a contract? Unless you wanted to add another year to pay him until he's 32 years old, 33 years old. Why don't you? I mean, like, that's the guy you want to kind of offset some costs, right? How much would be an extra year of Randy Vásquez? Like, how much would that be worth to you at age 32? And right now, you can't make that decision because he's made 5 starts. And to be frank, it's not like you're going to be able to, which nobody can be frank. Frank is frank.
I was going to say, can I be Braden?
No, you can't. Unless, like, you get into 2028 and the dude won a Cy Young in 2027 or something ridiculous. Forget about like buying out years of arbitration for an extra year. Thank you, Randy Vásquez. Thank you, Juan Soto. Everybody thank Juan Soto. Thank you, Juan Soto. Everybody thank Brian Cashman. Thank you, Brian Cashman. Anybody want to thank AJ Preller? That might be mixed with some booze out of some of the people in our YouTube chat. But if he could continue anything close to this, and he's going to be under contract until 2031, this is a massive steal for the Padres, Randy Vásquez. When you think about it from that perspective, I mean, even if he goes through arbitration, how much money is he possibly going to get? A couple of million, maybe, max? I mean, he's not going to be like, he's not winning any Tarek Skubal arbitration cases. And if he does, good for him and good for the Padres. You got to let it play out a little bit, but I mean, talk about even more value for the Pods and a guy like Randy Vásquez, who is still pre-arbitration next year. Pre-arbitration. He's going to be making like close to like just over league minimum. $808,000. He's your number 2 pitcher right now in the rotation. And by the way, he has been your best pitcher. So hopefully he continues to have this success because it's a massive gain for the Padres. When we come back, Craig Stammen was on with Ben and Woods as part of the manager's report. They're off on Friday, so they moved it around. So the manager's report is what we will get to when we come back on the Braden Surprenant Show. Santa Cruz Sports Station, 97.3 The Fan. Major League Baseball season only a few weeks old, and it already makes no sense. Right now, the NL Central has every team over 500, including the Pirates leading the division, and the Cardinals on a win streak. That's not normal. Meanwhile, the Dodgers, Braves, and Padres still look like contenders, but even they aren't running away from anything. And there's the bigger storyline. Parity is everywhere. The Mets are collapsing, the Phillies look flat, and the Astros are dealing with injuries, but teams like the Marlins, Tigers, and Rays are hanging right in the mix. The season doesn't have separation. It has chaos. So the question is simple. Is this the most competitive MLB season we've seen in years? Or are we just watching early season noise before the real contenders take over? We're a few weeks into the MLB season, and the league already feels upside down. Super teams are still near the top, but so are unexpected contenders. Slumping stars are dragging teams down. And maybe the biggest storyline, the NL Central looks like the best division in baseball right now. That alone tells you how strange this season is shaping up to be. Let's talk about the NL Central.
Yeah, no, historically, the NL Central hasn't been exactly dominant. In fact, there was a time where an 83-win team would win the division. Right now, all teams, all 5 of them, are over 500. The Milwaukee Brewers are still doing what they do, winning quietly. The Cubs are currently surviving injuries. The Reds are winning tight games at an unsustainable pace. The Pirates are surprisingly leading the division. And the Cardinals are on a winning streak. Not something that we would have had. This isn't just balance. This is chaos with structure. The real question is whether or not this holds, or if one of these teams eventually separates like we've seen in past seasons.
Yeah, let's take a look at the power rankings right now. At the top of baseball, things are more predictable. The Dodgers are still the standard. Atlanta looks like the back to elite form despite injuries. San Diego getting dominant bullpen production. And the New York Yankees are thriving off young talent development. Top tier still exists, but it feels less separated than usual. Even elite teams are being challenged more consistently. And we've already seen some early breakout storylines in the first 22 games or so.
Yeah, Shohei Ohtani's extending his on-base streak. Austin Riley looks like he's gotten back to being Austin Riley again. Bryce Terang quietly putting up MVP-level production. Jose Ramirez looking like an MVP candidate in Cleveland again. So the Stars are starting to heat up. But the difference this year is how many mid-tier players are breaking out alongside those stars to help the teams overall.
Now, in terms of teams that are feeling the pressure a little bit, New York Mets are in a free fall, and we don't have this much time on our regular show to talk about it, but what's the state of the Mets, Frank, on Monday, April 20th?
Nuclear apocalypse.
Pain.
Right now. Yeah.
Suffering.
Well,
the inflatable Mr. Met that was deflating on the ground that I sent you over the weekend.
I mean, I don't know how Carlos Mendoza still has a job. I really don't.
Or David Stearns, for that matter.
And David Stearns, if he gets let go, it's going to be at the end of the season. You're not going to go in a completely different direction with an organization at the beginning of the year. To lose 11 straight games in the way they have, and they've done it against Oakland is one of the teams that they've lost to, now getting swept by Chicago. The stupid reasoning behind Mendoza not walking Nico Horner on Sunday, who ends up getting you the hit when you have Michael Busch, who's hitting $164 sitting behind him, putting the double play in order. I mean, it just makes no sense whatsoever. And you can't even say it's because Juan Soto's not there. It's because they won the first 3 games without him. So I have no idea what is going on with the Mets. They just look completely and utterly lost with no leadership whatsoever.
I feel like the Mets go through stretches like this almost every single season. 11 straight is a tough stretch, and that is a way to not make the playoffs. You don't clinch the playoff spot in April, but you sure as heck can lose it.
Yeah, they haven't lost 11 games in a row since 2004. And I'll give that 2004 team a lot of credit. They have something they didn't have something that this team does. Talent. They had nothing. If you want to talk about the black hole in the history of Met baseball, it's 2002 to 2005. 2005 is when they started to turn around. Think of the 2002, 3, and 4 Mets as like the 2011, 12, and 13 Padres. Just historically bad. This team is now following in that trend, and since August of last year have been the worst team in baseball with 2 virtually completely different rosters.
You know what else doesn't look very good is the Phillies. The Phillies are looking slow and inconsistent. They're looking, you know what they're looking? They're looking old. The Phillies are looking old. And so, like, funny day. People are funny. People's comments are funny. People get upset over the dumbest things. Physically upset. Just type it out. I'm so upset. So upset. Ah! All right. That was funny. We didn't play the midday sports standoff, and we're not going to play it tomorrow because we only have an hour. But if you were able to take me down sports trivia for this month, I think we still have a week of that. You'd be qualified for a chance to win this month's grand prize, a pair of field level seats to Padres Phillies on Memorial Day. Tune in next week for our next edition today's edition of the Midday Sports Standoff. He's got jokes today, ladies and gents. He's got jokes today. We are broadcasting live from the Bill House Studios. We know how all of our guests join us on the SDCCU fan hotline. It's not Big Bang Banking. It's better. Also, since we are talking about it and we're about to get to it, we had the manager's report today, which means that Craig Stammen was on with Ben and Woods. The manager's report with Craig Stammen is brought to you by SDCCU. It's not Big Bang Banking. It's better. Let's play some of the clips. You have them all downloaded?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's get to some of these clips from Craig Stammen earlier on Ben and Woods. Right now, I mean, the Padres and the way that they have been able to win, I'd imagine the team's feeling pretty loose right now. Here's what Craig Stammen had to say about team vibes.
Yeah, I think it's just guys that are focused on, the team and putting team first over themselves. And, that's not easy to do, especially in the big leagues, and not easy to do, at any time in your life. And all these guys have kind of bought in, the winning's fun, and they're enjoying it. They're enjoying their teammates that are having success, have success. And they know, I think the other part of it is they kind of know that sooner or later it's going to turn around for them.
Yeah.
And when it does, then we'll really be clicking. So, right now it feels good to get the wins, even though we're not probably hitting on all cylinders. And then when we start hitting on all cylinders, it's going to be really good.
Craig Stammen on the manager's reports, brought to you by SDCCU. It's not Big Bang Banking. It's better. There's a couple of other things that I wanted to get to. One of them is about Manny. Obviously, Manny's still impacting games despite not hitting at the plates. Obviously, not really contributing from that side of things, but he is a big factor to this team. And just because you don't see his offensive numbers shoot through the roof doesn't mean he's not helping this team win. Here's what Craig Stammen had to say about Manny Machado.
I think it's something we've talked about is, increasing his walk rate a little bit. But, it's not like one thing to say it and then another thing to do it. And then how are you doing it? And I think, the biggest part is Manny's pretty smart and knows when he's swinging it good and knows when he's just a little off. And I think if you'd ask him right now, hey, are you swinging it really good? He'd say, heck no. And so I think he's just finding a way to impact the game when he's just not swinging it right. And that just speaks to how good a player he is. He knows how much the pitchers are going to respect him, on a daily basis. And when he can just take good at bats and figure out a way to get on base, it's going to be good for the Padres. And last night I was a big at bat against a really good pitcher in a tough situation.
Craig Stammen was on earlier with the manager's report, talking about Manny Machado a little bit. Haven't seen a lot of Nick Castellanos. Hasn't really been playing well. I think, the more this goes on and the more the season goes on, again, you were taking a chance on Nick Castellanos. We talked about it. It doesn't cost you a lot for him to be on the team, but his numbers continue to not be very good. If you look at his overall numbers for this season, he has the worst B-WAR on the team with a negative 0.8. That being said, he only has 47 plate appearances. You got to get at least 100. He's only batting $159 right now. His OPS plus is 23. Not looking too hot in a Padres uniform, but also not getting too many opportunities. So the morning show, our boys asked Craig Stammen, manager of the San Diego Padres, about how Nick Castellanos is doing.
Yeah, I think he's hanging in there. He's obviously getting used to a different role of not being an everyday player.
Yeah.
And he's working his way to be that person if we need him or when we need him. So it's tough. It's definitely an adjustment for him, but he's been nothing but great in the clubhouse with all the guys. He's definitely a leader amongst those guys. He's got some humor. He brings some humor to the room. And then, he's going to get his times. And like you said, he's had some bad luck that series back home in Colorado. Before that, he's hitting the ball pretty good. So see if we can get him hot here in Colorado. I think he's starting at first base today. Nice nugget before you guys get the lineup.
Breaking news on Ben Woods this morning.
Breaking news.
Finally.
Nick Castellanos playing first base. Yeah. So, he'll be in there today. We'll see if we can get that bat hot and, carry it on through Mexico City and then get him back in there when we get back home.
Man, I wish we got breaking news on our show.
If only they knew.
I'm sorry, Woods. I have to laugh. That's hilarious. I love that. Finally, some break. You know what? I wish we got breaking news. The morning show's always getting breaking news. In the afternoon. We never get breaking news. That is hilarious, considering the context. You know what? The roundtable takes over their last hour now. It is what it is. We have that tomorrow. The Epic Padres roundtable presented by Epic Wings.
Homie want wingy.
Well, you can get that tomorrow, Frank. Although I haven't seen you walk over there and get wings. What are you holding out? What are you holding out for?
It's too early for me.
Too early in the morning? You can save it for later.
I could.
You got to claim it early because the sales staff is on that. They're on that. All right, a couple other things I wanted to hear from Craig Stammen, who was on with Ben and Woods earlier this morning, who gets all the breaking news, and we don't get any breaking news ever. Matt Waldron starting tomorrow. What do they want to see out of Matt Waldron?
Yeah, he's going to be fine. I think, first start is always, a little bit of nerves and, getting back out there in that atmosphere again. And he wants to do well. And we had the winning streak on the line, all that stuff. So a little added pressure, but he did fine. I liked how he threw the ball. The Angels put up some really good at bats against them, and they were coming in hot too. So I think, just a lot of that. He's going to be fine. Looking forward to, him getting back out there and proving who he is, who we've seen kind of all spring training and in his rehab.
Last thing we're going to play here on the manager's report, which is brought to you by SDCCU. It's not Big Bank Banking. It's better. They asked Craig Stammen about any concern about over the lack of home runs.
It's tough to say, hey, hit the ball over the fense.
Just push that button, man. Yeah. I don't know why you guys don't use that button more.
Flip that switch. The ball's going out. No big deal. Easier said than done. And I think, one, we're just, really consistently trying to talk about taking good at bats. And if we take good at bats, eventually the home runs are going to come.
Yeah.
And we saw that in our last home series. We hit a few home runs and, everything was fixed, but, we're in elevation. Obviously there's an expectation to hit a few more homers and they'll come. I know they will, but there's also a time they want to hit the homers too. And sometimes that changes your swing, changes your approach, makes it a little bit different than what it should be. So we got to stick to taking good at bats, line drive swings, and, if we get that pitch to hit and knock it out, take advantage of the mistake the pitcher makes.
Craig's 100% right. You have to get the good at bats first, and the home runs will come. Otherwise, you're just a boomer bust team. And the Padres are hitting the ball hard. The Padres are doing the right things at the plate. The Padres are putting together good at bats. I know a lot of people were complaining about, Fernando hasn't hit a home run yet. Fernando has the best hard hit percentage in all of Major League Baseball. The best hard hit rate in all of Major League Baseball. He's hitting a lot of stuff to the opposite field, which is great. It's a full-time hitter. Shows that everything's great. The home runs are going to come. Fernando hits a home run tonight. I'm going to say that right now.
Yeah, Braden, but all those fancy numbers don't mean anything unless ball go far. And I can see it.
And I can physically see it.
If I could see ball go far, that's all that matters.
That's all that matters. What is this number mumbo jumbo?
Yeah, I cannot see ball go far.
That's right. You know what the sad part about this is, and I'm not like a huge analytics guy. It sounds like it on the air because we have been diving more into these analytics. The more I get into it, the more I learn more about it. It's just confirming what all the scouts and the people with eyes see. It's just a different way of seeing it. He's got to do this. Actually, you're right. That's what the analytics say. You guys are saying the same thing. You guys should hold hands and sing Kumbaya. Kumbaya. Go do that.
Who'd have thunk it?
Who'd have thought it? Speaking of, Bob Nightingale reporting on a podcast, Padres shouldn't trade Fernando Tatis Jr. Speaking of things, who would have thunk it? We'll play that for you when we come back. He'll give his reason why the Padres should not trade Fernando. Finish up the show. I'll get you a preview of tonight's game, Padres and Rockies. Gordon and Chris coming up after Equal Water SoCal Padres pregame show at 4:40. Padres baseball at 5:40. San Diego Summer Sports Station, 97 through the Fan. The San Diego Gulls are heading to the playoffs, but there's one big problem. They're going in cold. 3 straight losses to end the regular season, giving up goals in bunches. And now they face Colorado in a best-of-3 series. all in Loveland, Colorado. That means no room for slow starts, no time to figure it out. Now, the good news, this team can score. We've seen it with Pastujov, Bailey, Phillips. They've been producing all season, and they just got a boost with Tristan Leno back in the lineup after he went up and helped Anaheim with a victory against Nashville last week. But playoff hockey is different. It's tighter, it's faster, and defense wins games. So here's the question. Can the goals clean it up in time? Because if they can, they're dangerous. If they can't, this playoff run might be over before it really starts, as the San Diego Gulls are now headed back to the Calder Cup playoffs. Not exactly, though, the way you wanted. After clinching their spot, San Diego dropped three straight to close the regular season. 5-1 loss to Tucson, 4-1 loss to Ontario, and a 6-4 loss to Coachella Valley. So, yes, they're in, but they're entering the playoffs trying to regain their edge. The good news is, Frank, though, this is a franchise that has been in the playoffs for a long time. It's good to see that they made it, as well as the parent club, the Anaheim Ducks. This organization as a whole trending in the right direction.
Yeah, for sure. And they also started the week off. They started the week off great, actually. Before we get to what happened on the ice, head coach Matt McIlvain, who we had on the show at the beginning of the season, signed a multi-year contract extension to stay in the Anaheim Ducks organization. And honestly, it makes a lot of sense. Has improved the point total every single season with the Gulls, has led the team back to the playoffs, and now has developed multiple NHL-ready stars. So this is a clear message that the Ducks believe in the system that they have and also the development pipeline, because it's one thing to train these players. You also need to be able to coach them and show them what to do during the game as well. And Matt McIlvain has done a very, very good job of that thus far in his tenure here.
Yeah, and roster movement. You got some reinforcements arriving for this team before the playoffs. More movement as we head into the playoffs. Tristan Leno returns from Anaheim. Huge boost to the blue line for this team. Roger McQueen has signed his entry-level deal after a strong debut stretch, so he will be with the club. And young players continuing to cycle in and contribute. This roster is still evolving even now, but they're getting the best players back from Anaheim in the playoffs, and with adding a guy like Roger McQueen at this point in the season. Look, as much as we've talked about the goals all year, they've done most of the damage without Roger McQueen. You add him to this lineup, it's a little bit different of a goals team that Colorado is used to facing.
Yeah, absolutely. And they still have a lot of their hot players playing hot. As you said, despite the losses, some key names are still producing. Sasha Pastujov finished with the team lead in points at 55, still driving the offense consistently. Justin Bailey, 25 goals this year, one of the top goal scorers in the American Hockey League. Matthew Phillips, over 50 points on a 5-game point streak entering the playoffs. And Ryan Carpenter as well, veteran presence, coming off a 3-assist game to close out the season in a loss to Coachella Valley. So despite how the Gulls are playing right now, coming in as that number 7 seed, they still have some players who can really contribute to this team.
The concern, though, is the defensive consistency. Issue heading into the playoffs. They're giving up a lot of goals and in bunches. They gave up 5 goals, 4 goals, and 6 goals all last week, which is not going to get you a lot of wins in playoff hockey. Goaltending has had bright spots, but the team defense hasn't been tight enough late in the year.
Yeah, no, absolutely not, unfortunately. And that's a lot of goals to be allowing this late in the season, 15 goals in 3 games. That is not the way you want to go into the first round of the postseason against the Colorado Eagles.
Now, the playoff matchup is just like the wild card for Major League Baseball. It's a best of 3. All the games are going to be in Loveland, Colorado, at the Eagles. The Eagles are the number 2 seed in this tournament. The Gulls got the last spot in this tournament as the 7. So going to be a tough matchup. They're definitely a severe underdog. And with the short series, there's no room for error.
No, this is all about fast starts, defensive discipline, and capitalizing on momentum swings. It's playoff hockey. It's the best type of playoff. It doesn't matter whether it's in the NHL or the AHL. Playoff hockey is absolutely fantastic. And they're going up against another strong organization. They've been building a strong organization now with the Ducks and Gulls making the playoffs in the same year. You just had the Colorado Avalanche win the President's Trophy, and now their affiliate is the number 2 seed in the Calder Cup playoffs. So they've been building very, very strong as well.
Should we be concerned about the Gulls entering the playoffs on a losing streak? Kind of, but not really. I mean, momentum matters, context matters, but the reality of the situation is on multiple fronts. From an on-ice perspective, they've already shown that they can score in bunches. They've shown that they can win big games, and they just show that they can respond under pressure. I think they've done that most of the season. But at best of three, you don't get time to figure it out. So if they don't clean up the defensive side immediately, this could be a short run. If they do, they are a dangerous team with the talent that they have. I will also say it's great to see the goals back in the playoffs. I think that was kind of the main goal going into the season for the goals is let's make the postseason and see what they got. And anytime you get to the postseason and bracket play, anything can happen. So we'll see what the San Diego Gulls have in store this playoffs. $141 on a Wednesday. Almost said Friday, but it feels like a Friday for us. He's Frank Marchese. I'm Braden Surprenant. It's the Braden Surprenant Show, live and local each every day from 10 to 2 on San Diego's number one sports station, 97.3 The Fan. Final segment of the Braden Surprenant Show as we broadcast live from the Bill House Studios. Now, I do want to get to this because I thought it was funny. I'm so tired of like every national media pundit saying like, oh, the Padres should trade Fernando because of money and all this other stuff. Kind of ridiculous. Finally had a national pundit say like, we should probably put this to rest.
Yeah, right.
Let's get to what Bob Nightingale said on, what was it, on Foul Territory?
Yes, it was on Foul Territory earlier today.
And given the new ownership and recent signing of Lucas Giolito, Bob Nightingale believes we can put the Fernando Tatis Jr. trade chatter to bed. Let's see.
Is there a focus where the Padres could potentially make another move? And I'm not talking about like Lucas Giolito's not a small move, but a smaller move where they could still move a Tatis for that big piece that would solidify them pushing all in for this year and the next few years?
No, I think Tatis is there now, particularly with the new ownership. I'd be surprised if they even listen to many calls in the winter. He's certainly not going anywhere now. You know, the big thing is, okay, do they make some more moves and get another outfielder, for the stretch run? So, I mean, people are in San Diego excited. And the Dodgers are just running away with this thing 2 weeks ago. All of a sudden, the Dodgers are hit by injuries. Massive injury to Edwin Diaz, and this thing is wide open. And the bullpen, besides Mason Miller, has been lights out. But now you get this kind of pitching depth. Now hoping to go a little deeper in games and save that bullpen.
Did he say like get an outfielder for the stretch run?
Might have done.
Am I missing something? The Padres outfield not good. Like it's just I know you like want like as many like another bat maybe I guess, but like do they need another outfielder? Am I missing something?
National pundits just
do they even know like the outfielder? Like did they? I mean they need another outfielder last year. They wouldn't got Ramon Laureano unless they're like, oh well he's gonna walk, so you want somebody for like next year. I mean. That was not supposed to be the takeaway I was going to have out of this clip. That was not supposed to be the takeaway at all, but that is now my takeaway of...
As Adam said in the chat, so now we're not trading Fernando because they spent $3 million on Lucas Giolito, so now Fernando's off the market.
Now Fernando's, yeah. It's the $3 million that really showed that they're big spenders. Not the fact that they have spent, I don't know how many millions of dollars. I mean, their payroll cost $210 million this year.
And it's sustained over multiple years.
Yeah. Actually, they're saving $1 million. Estimated 2026 payroll is actually $1 million less than last year. How about that? Prorated, too, by the way. It's not even a full 3. Prorated. If you're new to this conversation, Lucas Giolito signed with the Padres on a prorated deal of $3 million. His base salary is $3 million, but it's prorated, so he's only getting 2.55 or something like that. Is that what it said? I had it on here a second ago. Giolito, 2.550802 for those counting at home. For those scoring at home. For those scoring the Padres payroll at home, and you want to put it on your little chart, 2.550802 towards the luxury tax on a 1-year deal. It could be worth up to $8 million with incentives. And he's got a 2027 mutual option, which I'm sure includes some type of buyout, which would probably increase the amount of money that he's making. So that happened today. And so with doing that, Bob Nightingale has now said that you could put to rest the potentially trading Fernando. I don't think they're going to listen to calls. I mean, come on. Like, AJ Preller listens to calls on everybody, on everything. But the question part was like, he goes, maybe they could now the real thing is like whether or not they're going to be able to spend money or like maybe add to this team and get another outfielder for the stretch run. Where? Like what? The Padres, like, if I'm not mistaken, like the Padres, like outfield's like kind of like their best asset right now when it comes to the players on the team. Am I missing something? Fernando to second full time. I heard Bedden was joking about it the other day about, they got all this money. AJ Preller. You find the guys that AJ Preller always wants, that he goes after at different parts in their year. The Mets have a guy like that. You know who that is? Francisco Lindor.
Yeah.
The morning show is joking about like, you know what? Maybe if they got the money now. You probably know how much Francisco Lindor makes.
Yeah.
If money was no object for the Padres, cool. If it is, no thank you.
He makes $1 million more over the life of his contract than Fernando.
He's getting $34.1 million a year for the next 6 years. No thanks. But that being said, I think it's good now that you finally had at least one national pundit say, well, you know what? Maybe they shouldn't trade Fernando. Maybe that's probably the best idea. I got an update for you on Griffin Canning, how he did today in his rehab assignment. Griffin Canning against Reno went 1 2/3 innings, 2 earned runs, 3 hits, no strikeouts, the 2 walks. That's the thing that's really paying attention to. Obviously, you can't really over-evaluate a rehab assignment. Canning threw 45 pitches, 24 for strikes. So I'm sure he'll be back with the club in some capacity soon. I know a lot of media people in town have been interviewing him as he comes back and hangs out in the clubhouse. So we'll see what he thinks about his outing in El Paso today. And he's got maybe one left, right, Frank? If we think,
yeah,
if he's going to come back like May, whatever, he might have one more. I'd be worried about the walks too, Juan, in the YouTube chat. You don't want to see a lot of walks, but maybe him working closely with Ruben Niebla is going to make it a little bit better, if you will. A couple of things to get to for tonight. Before we talk about the Padres game, have they announced the lineup aside from the breaking news on the morning show today that Castellanos is playing first base?
Not that I've seen.
I have not seen it either. Get to that in a second. San Diego FC plays tonight. Did you know that? I know you knew that. Does anybody else know that?
Yeah, they're playing the Houston Dynamo tonight.
Playing the Houston Dynamo tonight on Apple TV at 5:30 in Houston. So at 5:40, you could watch the Houston Dynamo play the San Diego FC and the Padres at the same time against the Rockies.
Exactly. 2 different windows. To have 2 different tabs open. If you're lucky enough to have 2 monitors, you have one on one, one on the other, and you're ready to go. Or you can have the Padre game on your television, and in the case of somebody in the chat, have the San Diego FC game on your fridge.
And then later in the night, when the Ducks come on, then
there you go. Exactly.
You know what? When you're figuring out what to watch on TV, it's like the Padres trying to figure out their pitching stuff. It's like, who do I cut here? What are we doing? How do I put this together? It's a crazy puzzle. Before we get to more conversation about tonight, when we want to see to Walker Buehler, what are your keys to the San Diego FC game tonight? How does San Diego FC avoid this disastrous run that they've been on and flipping the script?
Build off of the momentum that you built last week of finishing games with everybody on the pitch.
Avoid red cards. That was good. Build off that too.
Yeah, that's what I said. Build off of that momentum that you gained, and try to get back to a little bit more possession-based style that you've had, instead of kind of an offensive go kind of standpoint. So focus on maintaining possession, because if you're maintaining possession, that is one way to make sure your defense is not overly stressed. Go back to the basics instead of trying to just go wild and try to score.
Goals hockey. Do they play tonight?
Of course.
I was looking it up. I don't. I saw the signs outside. Hey man, you're supposed to have all the answers. They play,
I believe
tonight.
So. Yeah,
at
tonight. Yep, that's
6:05. Add that to the list of things you got to watch.
Tonight, Friday, and Sunday if necessary.
Hopefully, it's not necessary, and they take 2 in Colorado. It's
Could be nice,
tough.
wouldn't it?
San Diego goals in the playoffs. San Diego Soccers play their first leg of the finals tonight too. We got a lot of sports for San Diego tonight, huh? You got San Diego FC. You got the Padres. You got the San Diego goals in a playoff game. You got the Soccers in a playoff game. Anybody else want to play tonight? San Diego Clippers in the playoffs of do they even do playoffs in the G League? I don't know.
Now we take a look.
Add it to the list. I'll be watching Ducks hockey with Padres baseball at this point.
Official site of the NBA G League schedule.
They make the playoffs. Anybody know if they're good? They're up in Oceanside. They might as well be in Riverside. Mojo volleyball play tonight?
The last games were the 10th. So that's I would have to assume no
on that.
On the San Diego Clippers.
Tonight's matchup for the Padres, Walker Buehler, and we have Sagano for the Rockies. That would be Tomoyuki Sagano. He did pretty decent against the Pods last time.
Congratulations to the Greensboro Swarm, apparently, who beat the Stockton Kings in the G League Championship.
For anybody that is all my Oceanside peeps that are upset about the Oceanside comment, I will say this. It's an ongoing bit with my friends. I live north of the 8, and therefore I am considered living in Fresno. So if I live in Fresno, how far is Oceanside? That is an ongoing joke too. I have to explain the ongoing joke for people who think I'm actually being serious. One of our coaches that we have at Cathedral, he lives in Oceanside. And, we played De La Salle last year on the road. I'm like, yeah, dude, Preston's just down the street. He'll see you there. Just meet us there. He lives in Oceanside. You can drive there. Hey, we got the Battle at the Beach tournament in Huntington Beach. You going to be there? Yeah. Preston will ride his bike. It's right there. For San Francisco, I guess. Hey, you know what? It's a lot of people south of the 8. You might be. Up there. Go to Stagecoach of the weekend. It still doesn't make it to Oceanside. Oceanside's further than that. No, I'm not making jokes. It's funny. Oceanside, a real North County city, unlike Poway. There it is. We haven't given I Need Money a foul enough for his Poway comments. Chalk it up. His first foul in over a year. He's skated by. Rockies have a lineup out. Padres do not. Fun day today on the show. Gwen and Chris will have more about the Lucas Giolito signing, what it means for the Padres, and they will have their takes on it as well. Jason Adam expected to join Gwen and Chris later on today as well. For Frank Marchese, I'm Braden Surprenant. We'll talk to you guys tomorrow. Quick show.